Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the fifth and final round of the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship here at the beautiful Okayama International Circuit. We are just about to get the top 16 underway, and Ryan, the top 32, really not too many surprises there. We saw all 5 of the championship contenders make it through fairly easily, but now the real work has got to be done. And from your perspective as a judge and also just watching along as a fan, what did you think about the top 32?
Well, like you said, Ryan, there weren't too many surprises. There was only maybe a handful of upsets. Fujino, who was qualified 21st, beating 12th place Kazuya Bai. But overall, I think the higher qualified drivers moved on in top 32. And I think more importantly for the championship race, most of the top 5 or all of the top 5 moved through to the top 16. So they're all still alive, if you will, in the championship race right now.
Yeah, and that's going to make for an exciting championship battle coming down to the wire. Let's talk to some of those top contenders. We got some interviews earlier this weekend with the top 3 in points right now. Let's check out that interview.
Not once, not twice, but 3-time Formula Drift Japan champion and the current leader of the series this year, Andrew Gray. I'm at his pit. How do you feel? I know you like this track. You've had good memories in the past when you're winning the championship. How do you feel about this track this weekend?
I mean, traditionally we finish the season well at the end, and we sort of gain a momentum as the season goes. We just came off the back of a win, so of course confidence is high. I love this track. I won here last year in a really good battle with Mad Mike. So yeah, this is probably my favourite track. So I wouldn't say I'm overly confident, but I feel happy and ready to rock on this track for sure.
All right, I'm going to have to ask you that question. You already won the championship 3 times, and this is going to be your 4th time, and you're the number 1 ranking driver right now.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Is that a lot of pressure or what?
I guess I don't really think it's pressure, but I set a very high standard for myself and the team, and there's a lot of expectations, so I don't want to let anyone down. But it's very hard to perform well against the field is getting better and better. There's 4 or 5 drivers out there who could easily win this championship. So, but yeah, when it comes down to the battles, any carts in front of me, I'm going to go hell for leather against them. So yeah, bring them.
All right, man, we're going to be cheering for you. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Peace out.
All right, this is Koichi Yamata here. I'm at his pit. He is ranking 2nd in the Formula Drift Japan series right now. His nickname is Champ. Champ. I wonder how he feels about Okayama. チャンプ山下選手なんですが、今現在2位、ランキング2位なんで、チャンピオンシップ争いにすごく食い込んできているので、誰が勝つか分かんないんですが、ちょっと自信のほどを聞いてみたいと思います。どうでしょう？
自信はもちろんありますよ。もうそれはチャンピオン争いかかってるんで、でもまあ明日の意気込みもそうなんですけど、いいところにいるんで気負っちゃう部分出ちゃうんで、この気負わずまず楽しく、岡山すごい楽しいんで踏みちぎってお客さんを沸かして、そうやっていいものを自分にも持っていければいいなと、一つでも上の。
Well, I asked him if he's confident, but he did say he is confident, but at the same time he wants to make sure that his head is on his shoulders and he doesn't overdo it. But he wants to go out there and show everybody a great show the audience a great run. He wants to actually enjoy it first before he goes for the championship. So I think he's going to be doing some exciting running. じゃあ、明日追走なんですが、全体的に含めて今年どんな感じでしたシリーズ？
今回は、鈴鹿ツインから始まって表彰台を、恵比寿以外は取れてます。正直車とのマッチング、自分の調子は非常にいいです。なので、今回の岡山は上狙いたいって取りたいこの言葉は使いたいんですけど、これやって自分に追い込んじゃうとあんまりいい思い出がないんでだけどこんなチャンスはないと思ってます。そうそうチャンスって巡ってこない。なんでこのチャンスを生かせられるように、でシリーズチャンピオンになってもう美味しいお酒が飲んでみんなでこうワイってできたらいいなとは思います。
All right, so other than the Ebisu round this year, he's been on the podium every round. So he's kind of hoping that it'll happen here in Okayama as well. But what he wants to do is not psych himself and say, I want it, I want to get it. That'll kind of pressure him a lot. So he just wants to kind of slide in there and do his thing, try to win the championship. And if he can win the championship, he said the team will be happy, and he wants to go and have some good booze and alcohol. So 美味しいお酒が飲めるといいですね。
うん、飲めるでしょう。
頑張ってください。
ありがとう。
All right, guys, I'm here with the #1 qualifier here at Okayama International Speedway, Wataru Masuyama. You could call him Masu. He's usually one of the guys that comes in top in qualifying, and this time he did. Got a super high score. 渡る正山選手の、ピットに来ています。今回もですね、岡山サーキットで予選1位、はい、おめでとうございます。岡山なんですが、どうですかこのコースは？
岡山、難しいです。正直難しいけど、去年もいい点数が出せたんで、やっぱ自分のこう運転の仕方っていうかスタイル、やりたいスタイルとは合ってるかなって思いますね。
He thinks Okayama is a very hard track to drive, but it looks like he likes it, or it actually matches his style because, I mean, since last year at the end of the season, he also got the highest qualifying points here at the same track, so it seems like it matches him. なんかホメアドリフト US 行くって聞いたけど、
はい、自分の夢なんで、来年ぜひ叶えたいと思って、はい、行きます。
So I heard rumors that he might be coming to Formula Drift USA for next year because this is a long dream that he had, and that's why he's been coming to the Formula Drift Series, getting his car ready. He's probably going to bring his car over to the US, and he said that this is his dream, so he's going to try and make it come true. じゃあ、今回、チャンピオンシップ今3位でランキング3位でチャンピオンシップ、トップ4、5位までが、誰がチャンピオン取ってもおかしくないから、今回チャンピオンを取ってじゃあ華々しくジャパンのチャンピオンとしてアメリカに行く感じでいいの？
もちろんそれをやりたいですね。はい。
やりたい
です。シリーズ取って気持ちよく行きたいです。
自信は？
あります。いっぱいあります。大丈夫です。もうやるしかないんでここまで来たら。
Alright, so I think the top 5 drivers are eligible to get the championship here at Okayama for the Formula Drift Japan Series, and he's one of them, so he might have a chance to be the Japanese Formula Drift champion and be going to the USA as well. So I asked him if he's, how does he feel about it, and if he is confident. He said, I don't know, maybe a little, a lot, but I think he's confident. 自信あるよね？
自信あります。
頑張って。
はい。
Well, there you have it. The top 3 drivers in points right now in the Formula Drift Japan Championship as we take a look down here in front of the judges stand at the top 16 drivers that have made it through. It's worth repeating that the top 5 have very much a mathematical chance to win the championship, only separated by 55 points prior to qualifying from Andrew Gray down to Katsuhiro Ueo. However, Wataru Masuyama made a big dent in Andrew Gray's lead from qualifying. He's now squashed that down to 24 points, which basically means a position ahead, essentially. So we'll see how things stack up. We've got the championship calculator over here on our side to play out some potential scenarios. And Ryan, as we mentioned, Masuyama, Gray, and Minowa are all on the left-hand side of the bracket, which means if Gray and Masuyama get through, they would face each other in the Grade 8. If Minowa gets through, he would be alone as a championship contender on the lower left-hand side of the bracket. On the right-hand side, you have Katsuhiro Ueo and Koichi Yamashita. They would also meet in the Grade 8, so there's going to be a lot of excitement around the Grade 8 if those drivers do make it through. And with those 5 contenders, it could get very, very interesting. But we have seen some incredible driving here this weekend. A lot of guys really starting to kind of come into their own after the second run of qualifying. Feeling it out after that first round. We saw some lackluster performances, but then guys really started to turn it on, and some drivers that we typically don't see in the top 5, top 10, like Yoshichika Tamagawa, who came out after a competition timeout, and I'm getting the signal now to start the ceremony, so we'll get into it. Okay, you told me to be quiet. Okay. Well, now as we follow along closely with our Japanese counterparts leading us through the top 16 opening ceremony introductions, you'll see here in front of your screen the first two drivers up in the top 16. That is your number one qualifier, car 530, and championship contenders. Currently sitting in third place, Wataru Masuyama. He has had a storied season so far, taking a win of his own and looking very good in 2019. He's going to be taking on the 16th qualifying driver of the weekend, who took out James Tang in the top 32. That is Daisuke Hara. Our next pair up, this is a big one for the championship. Yusuke Kusaba, qualified 8th. Car 938 has looked impressive this weekend, building it up and using those potenzas to his best advantage. But many drivers on the podium this year have been rocking the Velinos, including this driver here, Andrew Gray, the 3-time champion. It's going to be a tough task for Yusuke Kusaba, but if he's able to get through Gray, that would mean that any other driver in second or third place that advances further on would be closing and passing Andrew Gray for the championship lead. So a very big battle for him. Our next battle up here, number 5, Tamaki Tanaka. After placing 13th in qualifying, he will find himself against a driver that took out very popular and strong qualifier of Kudai Subagire, Manabu Fujinaka. After one more time battle, was able to take him out. One of the bigger upsets that we saw in the top 32. Moving right along here, and this should be a pretty interesting battle to say the least. Shinji Minowa comes into this round 42 points behind the leader of Andrew Gray. He's taking on ex-D1 champion Hideyuki Fujino, who's got that very fast F550 Maranello, and has at times look a little bit out of control, but also has shown us some strong moments as well. We'll see if he can tighten it up here for the top 16. That right there is your left-hand side of the bracket. Those drivers in that order. Now moving over to the right-hand side of the bracket for the top 16. It's Katsuhiro Ueo. He's looked incredible this weekend. Came in the number 2 qualification. On the other hand, a driver we tend to see up in that top 5 qualifying, if not number 1, Kanta Yanaguida, all the way down in 18th place for qualifying. He was able to take out Ian Harino in the top 32. And Ryan, that's going to be a very interesting battle in the top 16.
Yes, it is, Ryan. Got a few top 16 battles that'll be fun.
The probabilities are the highest for this gentleman here. He currently sits in second place. He's just 4 points away from Andrew Gray. All he needs to do is finish higher than Andrew and not let some of the other competitors get past him, and he would be your 2019 champion. But he's got to first get through Kazuki Hayashi, who had a tough time of it yesterday in qualifying in run number 1, came back in run number 2, and was able to get that 10th place spot. So they'll do battle in the second run of the top 16. Kazuya Matsukawa also had 2 incredible qualifying runs yesterday. It was the second one that put him up on top, right around third place, actually third place exactly in that A85. He's going to be taking on Teruyoshi Iwai, who qualified 14th. Our last and final battle on the right-hand side of the top 16 bracket pits Yuichi Amagai, who also on his second run built it up pretty strongly for a great campaign in his qualifying, came in at 6th place. And this gentleman here did the same thing after a competition timeout. The lone Supra in competition now, Yoshichika Tamagawa, after defeating Benjamin Chiam, the other Supra in competition. They will face each other in our last battle in the top 16. So there you have it, Ryan. A pretty good set of matchups here in the top 16. Obviously a lot of stakes at hand here. This is the final event of the year. Drivers are very likely to throw everything against the wall to get those very important wins. But most importantly, you'd have to say for the top 5 guys is thinking about what they need to do to move as deep into competition as they can. We mentioned at the onset that Yamashita is more or less the favorite from a probability standpoint to take out Andrew Gray. They've had some rivalry over the past few years, and Yamashita's always come up a little bit short, but he's now in probably the best position of his career so far from the time that we've been involved in Formula Drift Japan to get his first ever championship.
Yeah, just looking at the battles we have here, Ryan, it's some drivers are going to have a tougher time getting down to the final battles here than others. You already mentioned that a couple of drivers are in the same corner of the bracket, so they might run into each other in the next round, so in the grade 8, whereas other drivers will have to go to the top 4 battles to actually run into another of the top 5 in current standings right now. Somebody who's going to have a rough go, I think, right off the bat here is Shinji Minoa going up against Fujino. Fujino's in that Ferrari 550, which we're not really sure how that thing holds up in competition yet, right? This is the first time we've seen it compete. He's been doing well with it. They've had a couple of failures, like the power steering went out in qualifying. So we don't know what the longevity is of that car in competition and how comfortable he is in it to do really well, but he is a very, very skilled driver. Like we said, XD1 champion, and he's going up against Minoa right in the top 16. So Minoa is going to have a rough battle there. Andrew Gray and Kusaba. Kusaba's actually a higher qualified driver than Andy Gray here at this track. So Andy Gray's going to have a bit of a tough time there as well. Ueo and Yanaguida, like you said earlier, that's going to be an interesting one to see. I think sparks are going to fly in that one right there. So Ueo's going to have to fight his way through Yanaguida if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. Yamashita going up against Hayashi. We saw a great battle with Hayashi and Kubo go one more time in top 32. So we know that Hayashi is able to overcome any little mistakes that he's made in the past and fix them to win in future battles. So he could be somebody that will cause a bit of trouble for Yamashita, who is also a championship contender. And then in the bottom right side of the bracket here, no championship contenders, but some great battles that I think we're going to see. Matsukawa against Iwai and Amagai against Tamagawa that could go absolutely either way in these battles. So I think it's going to be a really fun 16, but this is going to get more and more stressful as we go, not just for the drivers, but for us up here, trying to keep track of who has what points and who's going to be crown the champion, and at what point during this competition is that going to happen.
Well, very interesting to say the least. The 2019 season, like other seasons in the past, has been constituted of 5 tracks: Suzuka Twin, Ebisu, Fuji Speedway, Okiobuki, and Okayama. All of those tracks have some distinct characteristics, and you have to say that at the end of the year, the driver that does come out top was able to get through tracks with a lot of variety, different setups that they would need for each of their cars. We've got high speed, we have tight and concise, different styles of tracks, different initiations, different approaches, and that when you get to the end of this 2019 season, the driver that does come out top, you would likely say it was the driver that was most prepared for all of those conditions.
You're right, there are a lot of conditions to drive through. We had a lot of weather conditions as well, a lot of rain that really swamped some of the qualifying or potentially in the actual competition. Sometimes it was dry for one, wet for the other, or vice versa. So it really made it complicated for these drivers to figure out what exactly they were driving on, trying to figure out what setups they needed. We did have some fast tracks. Fuji Speedway, very, very fast track. Only one transition on that track, so it's more of a long sweeping corner, 2 long sweeping corners that you have to contend with. And then you get to a place like Okoibuki, which is very small and very tight. You only have a couple of transitions there as well, one transition there as well, sorry, but it's a very tight track, whereas you need to be a lot more precise. You have to, the gearing will be completely different for the car, and it's just an all-around different type of feeling and different challenges for the drivers as well and teams. And then you come here, another big, long, sweeping track. We do have a lot more transitions on this track, so it does make it more challenging in the chase position to get yourself positioned, get yourself in the right spot to maintain that proximity. And of course, some of the tracks are a little bit more open. such as Ebisu. We had that wall that people could ride up, but for the most part, that track was fairly safe, let's call it. Some runoff on either side. Here we have a lot of runoff with gravel, but then we have a wall that the drivers are going right up against here, which is a little bit more challenging than what they may have seen in the past.
Well, we will take a quick commercial break. We'll grid our first pair of Wataru Masuyama and Daisuke Hara, and also give you some of the championship potential outcomes depending on where drivers finish. So we'll be back here with the 5th and final round of the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship here from Okayama International Circuit. Welcome back to the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship here at Okayama International Circuit. We are lining up for our first battle of the top 16. On the right-hand side of your screen is your number 1 qualifier, Wataru Masuyama. He's going to be taking on Daisuke Hara. Just looking at some of the potential outcomes of this weekend's event, it looks like Masuyama, if he wins the event and Andrew Gray and Yamashita go out in the grade 8, he would win the championship by 22 points. Because he would face Andrew Gray in the grade 8 and beat him. But let's get to this first. Here we go. Yamashita, big initiation. What we've seen, Masuyama, big initiation now into outside zone 1. Starting to pull ahead here of Hara as they reach into that second outside zone. He was a little bit shallow there, but still maintaining good control over the lead run. Hara smartly tries to cut the line to gain some proximity, but Masuyama holds him off. And a good start there. You have to wonder, for as casual as he is, Ryan, is he under any pressure?
He might just be, Ryan. Looking at his initiation, look at that snap to initiation there to angle. That was beautiful. He did pull a little bit of angle out just after getting to full angle there, unfortunately, but wasn't very big. Great job in outside zone 1, just dipped a tire. Could have been deeper in outside zone 2, nice and deep in outside zone 3. That looked really great through there. He looked very comfortable, very confident. And then back around through inside clip 1. Could have been slightly tighter there, but really was right on the edge of the rumble strip, so not too bad through there at all. Hara, on the other hand, was struggling to keep up in the chase position. It looked like he was kind of off pace a little bit, and is going to need to put together a very clean lead run to match that of Masuyama.
Drivers coming back around all the way around the track, the shortcut way, but now finding their way to the start line here as they will switch up their positions, with Masuyama going to chase Daisuke Hara. And Ryan, Masuyama really had a huge improvement from the 2018 to 2019 season in his chasing abilities. What do you attribute that to?
It has to be practice, Ryan. He must have gone out and driven a lot with a bunch of different drivers on different tracks in the off-season. That's the only thing I could see. He didn't change anything to his setup. It had to be more of a personal development thing. He just seemed to be way more confident when in the chase position. He was still able to put those lead runs together. He maybe wasn't as consistent in the lead in 2017, 2018, but definitely has upped that this year.
All right, so big battle here at hand. Hara with that big e-brake pull. Masuyama not wasting any time, tucking up into the smoke line, trying to follow him into that first outside zone, now cutting through that touch and go. Hara deep into that second outside zone, but here comes Masuyama. He's trying to close the door on Hara through this last section of turns. Nice snap back around. And a pretty reputable lead run there from Daisuke Hara. Some moments where Masuyama was surging forward and had him in his sights, backed off for a little bit right there before outside zone 2, and then came around that final inside clip in tow. Here's the replay.
Loved what Masuyama did here. He left a gap, but caught up without really cheating anything at all right here. He just got right in on the side of Hara. Hara did an okay job there on outside zone 1, got right to the outside of the pavement. And then you see Masuyama there mimicking him nicely in the chase position. A couple of car lengths, down to about 1 car length in certain areas of distance between them. But Masuyama really putting together a nice chase run. Hara doing a great lead as well. You know, Hara didn't really make any mistakes, but I just think that Masuyama might have been deeper into a couple of areas, key areas of the track, and looked really great doing so.
So the first run is in the books. Unless we get it one more time, is it going to be Wataru Masuyama or Daisuke Hara? Robbie Nishida goes for Masuyama. So does Ryan Lantane. All 3 judges, a unanimous victory. He makes his way in to the grade 8 and finds himself in a good position here. Now, Ryan, this next battle is going to be very telling for us because if Gray gets knocked out here, it will stop his points accumulation, obviously. But if he is able to move forward, then the battle we're going to be looking at is Masuyama versus Gray in the Great 8.
Yeah, interesting here that Kusaba is actually qualified higher than Gray, which is something he's not accustomed to. Typically, he's very high in the qualifying rankings, so he's actually following first. Now, what's going to be important for Gray, and is something that he brought up after qualifying, is the decel area that we have on this track, which is outside zone 2. He was traditionally doing it over at the touch and go area, which is not what we want to see. So we're going to have to see how he adapts to this coming from qualifying to today.
Both drivers at the line. Second battle underway. Great crowd out here at Okayama International Circuit. Joining us along with the Motor Games weekend. Pacing him down the front straight is Gray. Kusaba, nice little initiation there. Gray surging forward. Does not want to let him get away, but Kusaba fills that zone. Reduction in angle from Gray, maybe push a little bit too hard. Now he's trying to get back on it. Kusaba very short on that outside zone number 2. Coming through 3, Gray pouring on the pace here, wrapping through this final inside clip. Kusaba nice and tight there, but Gray keeping good proximity on. Gray may have overpressured it a little bit in that first outside zone, Ryan, but how was the run overall?
Yeah, that was the only real error I saw from him. He pushed a little bit too hard there, trying to maintain proximity, and that's an important area to get it and to hold it for the entirety of the run. So you can see here he's nice and close. He surged a little right there and then backed off a bit. But he did catch up. He did have to sacrifice a little bit of angle right there to do that, but he did do it with a minimal amount of corrections. In the lead position there, Kusaba could have done better through touch and go to outside zone 2 for sure. The transition there, he didn't really get the car all the way out to zone 2, could have been deeper in 3, but Andrew Gray knew he had to put a lot of pressure on in the chase position coming into this battle because he has to keep moving on and accumulating points, as you said. Now we're going to change the positions up. Andrew Gray is going to lead. What can he do now in the lead position to better what Kusaba did? First of all, he's going to have to get that car positioned properly from the touch and go to outside zone 2. We know that he brought that up as an issue of his. Because of the speed his car generates through outside zone 1, it's very difficult to get through there without having to lift at that touch and go area. Now, if Kusaba's really close and it affects him, in a lift situation there, that could be on Andrew Gray immediately. He's got to go deeper into outside zone 2 and deeper into outside zone 3, which are 2 opportunities that he has in the lead position to better what Kusaba did. Now, he still has to do well in outside zone 1. He's got to snap that car to angle, carry the angle through smoothly, and fill outside zone 1 to begin with.
Well, can Andrew Gray show us a masterclass here as a lead runner? Will Kusaba be the one that takes away the victory from him? Already a little bit of a gap established as Kusaba falls way back. He goes off course, and now we lose him in the smoke line. Kusaba shuts it down, so Andrew Gray will get the win here if he crosses the finish line without giving himself an incomplete. He's moving on into the Great 8. So Ryan, it looked like Kusaba's attempt at a chase run really fell short there, and perhaps he got lost in the smoke. But from your perspective, what happened here in run number 2?
There was a lot of it, Ryan. The smoke is still clearing out now. Watching what Andrew Gray did here at initiation, gets the car to an angle very nicely. Kusaba's right there, but gets behind the smoke line, unfortunately. He probably got himself right in it. We can't even see what happened to him back there, but he definitely did go off and straighten up there. Andrew Gray is trying to push his decel area further and further down towards the outside zone 2 area. He might have slowed a little bit earlier than we'd like there, but there was no car behind him, so really no harm, no foul in that sense because Kusaba had already zeroed out behind him. So in that sense, Andrew did a great job in the lead run, and Kusaba just couldn't stay out of the smoke, unfortunately.
All right, so all 3 judges going in the direction of Andrew Gray. Unanimous victory there, no surprise over Yusuke Kusaba. He'll be moving on into the Great 8. That sets up our championship battle between Wataru Masuyama and Andrew Gray in the Great 8. So that is going to be a big one.
The pressure is on, Ryan.
Non-championship battle up, but still a good one nonetheless. We've got Manabu Fujinaka taking on Tamaki Tanaka. You see Fujinaka in the background there getting ready to take the chase run position.
You know, Ryan, people used to call this the JZX Championship, jokingly. But it has slowly become a good mix of different chassis, which has really livened up the field, which is nice. We still have our S15s and our JZXs, but we have a lot of FDs out there. We have an FC, and then we have, of course, that Audi that unfortunately didn't qualify this weekend. But it's really nice to see a little bit more of a blend here in Japan. You know, not the same old cars all over and over again, but right here we do have one of those big body cars going up against one of those FDs. We did have 4 FDs in competition. Oh, wow, we've been listing all the different chassis here. There's a, what do we have? Oh, yeah, 2 Supras, 100s, 90s, S13, FDs, A86s. Very good. Thank you, guys. You're way ahead of me.
Pretty big.
Pretty good.
All right, here we go. Tanaka, the lead driver, Fujinaka in the chase position. Tanaka, mid-course, bringing it over to the edge. Initiates. Little e-brake pull. A lot of angle there.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, he shuts it down. Oh, no. And the run is technically over right now, so anything that Fujinaka does in this position will not count against him. If the lead driver incompletes, and Ryan, jump in here anytime the run is over after that point. So I would imagine you guys, or from your perspective at least, an incomplete right at outside zone 1, or a little bit before it possibly.
We had a kind of a multitude of errors there from Tanaka in the lead position. He did, let's watch what happens here. Initiate, car gets the angle. Then he gets into an understeer situation and then over-rotates right there. There's no way that he would have made it through that corner. Continuing like that, Fujinaka just tries to squeeze by at that point in time and does make contact, but that'll be after the incomplete already occurred, so really no problem for us. Might be a problem for them if he damaged the car, but it doesn't look like they did. You know, there may have been a little part that flew off the car back there, a piece of maybe a canard or something like that, but let's just check in with the tech guy now.
All right, so yeah, we have a radio up here directly to Kevin Wells, our competition director back in the United States, also joining us here for all the track action in Formula Drift Japan, letting us know about competition timeouts, damage, anything that comes off the track that we don't have a visual on, and also talking to the drivers and spotters and teammates about the challenges that their team may be dealing with. So we will see an official incomplete for that driver there on the left-hand side of your screen, Tamaki Tanaka. Fujinaka will be in a good position here as he'll have clean air out front as the lead driver. Hearing over the radio, looks like the team wanted to get right back to it, not opting to take a look at their car or do anything like that. Light is on, extinguish we go. A little bit of a jump there from Tanaka, and Fujinaka will take the lead. Tanaka really needing to apply the pressure here, force and air from Fujinaka. He comes real close to making contact with him. He'll fall off again, but Fujinaka very shallow on that first outside zone. From the touch and go to outside zone 2, a little bit better there. Tanaka trying to close the door, but he's going to straighten up coming over the crossover. He's going to lose momentum and shut it down. That's going to be an incomplete there. So this should be an easy win.
That looks like an engine problem, I think. But you have to wonder if Tanaka did make contact with Fujinaka. I don't know. It's hard to tell from way over here, but maybe on the replay we'll be able to get a better view. But it looks like Tanaka has lost an engine there. Let's watch this replay, Ryan, and see what happened. It looked like Fujinaka got himself to angle and was doing the right thing in the lead, but Tanaka just tried to kind of dive in there to get close and overdid it. So right there, it looked like there was contact,
bump, yeah.
And it might have over-rotated Fujinaka, and then at that point in time he had to try to correct that and drive through with having, being on the wrong line after having been hit. It wasn't a big hit, but it was enough you could see the change in angle in his car. So that could have, caused him to lift or do whatever. But in this case, kind of inconsequential as Tanaka had an incomplete in both runs, and looks like he'll need to be towed off here after this. What looks like an engine failure.
All right, so there's a look directly from the judges' stand. Down below, you see the open paddock in front of us and grandstands on the other side, right near the finish line. So here we go. Let's make it official. Manabu Fujinaka is going to get a unanimous decision here against Tamaki Tanaka. Fujinaka will move on into the Great 8 to face the winner of the next battle up, Shinji Minowa versus Hideyuki Fujino.
So Fujinaka is the lowest qualified driver to make it this far now. He's 29th qualified, and he's already made it to the Grade 8, so pretty impressive. Uh-oh.
Getting the sign for a commercial break. That is not a good sign out there on course with the dry down coming up, being laid down. Hopefully that is just water and not oil. But nonetheless, we will check it out, take a quick commercial break, come back here to the 5th and final round of the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship. Welcome back to Okayama International Circuit as we are finishing up the cleanup here. It was indeed a engine detonation on course. We did get a little bit of oil down, but it was outside of the major line area there. You see it a little bit there, so nothing too dramatic. Able to clean it up pretty quickly. We should be able to get cars ready to go. The next pair up, just as a reminder, is going to be finding Shinji Minowa taking on Hideyuki Fujino.
This should be a good one, Ryan.
I agree. I think next time we do a commercial break, we should just loop the RSR Ichiban commercial and just that last part. RSR Ichiban, RSR Ichiban. You want to do that?
I really think we should do that.
Yeah.
We always enjoy watching that commercial.
We love it.
Over and over and over again at each round. And I think that one specific area of that, part of that commercial would be awesome to hear.
I think we should all
over and over.
Tag Osbo in Instagram posts and just say RSR Ichiban. Let's get a mass audience.
He seems to have really actual love feelings for that brand too. The way he says, "I love RSR."
Yep.
It's very meaningful for him.
Absolutely. All right, back to the action at hand. There he is, Shinji Minowa. His wife earlier left competition in the top 32. And now he is the last standing Minowa, but charging for a championship. Hideyuki Fujino in the Ferrari coming up. He should be coming around the corner. The burnout box is actually just up. Well, if you're looking at the screen that we're looking at here, it's all the way back to the left, just out of sight here. And once they do their burnouts, they can come on down the front straight. So he should be coming down shortly.
They try to have them do the burnouts off the racing line, off the track itself, up around the corner, which is why it's done that way,
Least amount of damage to the track possible when we leave.
Yeah, because they do use this track for other things than drifting when we are not here. So they do have to clean a lot of the rubber up after we leave, so we try to keep it kind of, sequestered to one area of the track as much as possible. But there he is back at the line, and this should be a pretty fun battle. This Ferrari has proven to be fast. Hopefully they can keep it together. We know we had a power steering failure during qualifying. He muscled the thing through and qualified the car. But let's see how he does against one Shinji Minowa in his G690.
Looks like we're ready to get some action underway here. Big battle here for Shinji Minowa. Fujino chasing him down. Minowa opting for that really wide sweeping initiation. Big long e-brake pull, now gets on throttle, but Fujino was right there on the inside. The XD1 champion not wanting to go quietly into the night here, trying to track him down, sucking up on the inside, putting the pressure on Minowa, but Minowa out front. Great angle there. Not a lot of mistakes coming through this last inside clip. And Fujino falls back through the finish line just a little bit, but was putting the pressure on Minowa at various areas of the course. Ryan, let's take a look at this one more time.
We know we had questions about the competency of this car in competition, and he's proving that he's able to really hustle this car around the track. That 90 of Shinji's is pretty quick. He does a nice initiation right there, and right on his door, is Fujino in that Ferrari. He did not go as deep in outside zone 1 as Minowa did, but he's kind of keeping that proximity on. You know, he's cheating here and there a little bit on the line. He had a couple of angle bobbles there trying to maintain proximity, and right here he kind of falls off the line that Shinji laid down. But overall, he did a really great job pushing really hard in the chase position to maintain that proximity. You could see him as he came from the initiation point to outside zone 1. From our perspective, we're looking directly at the front of the cars, so we can see the attitude of the cars through there. And you can see that he kept it pretty steady. Couple of little movements in the chassis there as he was trying to stay really close, but overall did a really clean job in the chase there of maintaining proximity while only cheating a little bit on the line and the angle and a couple of points. So right now, Fujino in the lead position is going to have to put together a solid lead because Shinji's lead was strong. He did hit all the points. He was running through with good angle. He decelled in the right area for the most part, and he's going to have to, Fujino that is, really match or better what Shinji laid down. Now Shinji in the chase cannot let this car get away. He's going to have to stay close through the entire run. He's going to have to try to do so while making less compromises than Fujino did when he was in the chase. So this is do or die for Shinji right now. He's trying to stay in the championship, and you know, Fujino comes in here in this wild car and could upset his chances.
Here we go, second run. The borrowed vehicle of Fujino out front. Nice little snap, lets it float out. He's back on throttle pretty early. He's got a gap on Minowa. He's going to have to try to close the door here, perhaps cut the line a little bit. He does that, not keeping the same amount of proximity on. And a big angle coming out of outside zone 3. That allows Minowa to tuck up on the inside, and he closes the door through the finish line. Woo!
That was nice, Ryan.
All right, so a very tense battle here, Ryan, for an important slot for both drivers, but more importantly for the championship contender of Minowa.
Yeah, so look at that initiation from Fujino. Not as snappy, I'd say, as the one from Shinji when he was in the lead, but he did get to a nice degree of angle. He's maintaining it pretty well around here. Left that zone a little early, got into it a little bit late, but did fill that center section of that zone. Didn't go as deep there in outside zone number 2 or 3, but pretty good job up the hill. Like you said, big angle allowed Shinji to really kind of slide in on the inside there. Let's watch this from the drone view. This view is always all-telling. You cannot hide anything from the drone view. So let's watch that initiation. From this angle, looks like a nice rotation there from the lead car. And you can see Shinji trying to catch up to him as they go through the outside zone 1 area. And then as they transition to outside zone 2 to come into the outside zone 3 area, Shinji takes that opportunity to get right on the inside of him right there. So really great battle from both of them here. I'd like to see that one more time myself, but we'll see what the other judges have to say.
Well, I saw in my purview another judge put in his result right away. I don't know if that's because he was confident about driver A or driver B, or if he was also wanting to see it one more time. But let's find out how all three of you came into play. Robbie Nishida, Andy Yen, and Ryan Lantain up here in the judges' room, and along with some Japanese royalty of Tom Saiba, Orito, Taniguchi, and Imamura. So quite the posse up here. One more time, we'll do it. And a unanimous one more time result. So Minowa, the pressure continues to mount for the wanting champion here. Fujino not making it easy, but the result is a one more time.
Another potential fireworks show that we have coming up here, Ryan, is Yanaguida against Ueo. This is the old school versus the new school. We've got that Darth Vader S15 and that 2J powered S13. And this is going to be, has the possibility of being one of our most fun battles. Let's see what happens as the lights start to light up. Anytime now. Oh, a little conversation going on with our start man up here. There we go. All right, we know that Ueo burns the tires all the way down the straightaway. His car is crazy fast. Yanaguida takes the jump.
Yeah, smart move there by Yanaguida, the young driver. A lot of experience even in his youth. Little snap there from Ueo. Big smoke line already. Yanaguida not letting him get away. Ueo goes off course. Yanaguida cutting through. Big angle on that touch and go from Ueo. Gets to that outside zone. Look at Yanaguita closing the door right on the back bumper. Making a great move to get out of the gate early, not letting Ueo get away. Had a very competitive first run to that battle here in the top 16.
Ueo, as per usual, is a little bit unpredictable here. So he gets the car to angle really nicely at initiation, but goes off course at outside zone 1. So you can see there, it's kind of like a stepped initiation. Didn't really let the car rotate fully. And then right here he goes, that's 2 tires off easily on outside zone 1. And then Kanta in the chase position is trying to maintain proximity there. And you can see that Ueo dropped a tire on the touch and go as well, so he's throwing big angle, slowing down a little bit where he's not supposed to, but Kanta was able to stay close to him and not be affected by that. So good job on Kanta in the chase position. He did a great job jumping the line there as well. As we look at this overhead view from our drone, you can see that Kanta's following the line that Ueo's setting. That's where Ueo goes 2 tires off on outside zone 1. As they transition here, Ueo goes a tire in the dirt there as well and slows down a little bit because of that big angle. But Kanta just takes the opportunity to get inside. He's unfazed by it, and he uses it to his advantage. He falls off slightly there just from outside zone 3 to the finish line, but great job from Kanta to adjust to what's going on in the lead position going through those different areas. Now, Kanta in the chase is now going into the lead. What does Kanta have to do to win the lead-to-lead comparison? I'd say stay on the track at outside zone 1. Well, first of all, he's got to have a cleaner, smoother initiation. He's got to let that car rotate and not be so controlling on the wheel. He's got to really let the car snap to an angle that he wants to carry through that whole corner, right? Don't want to pour it on afterwards. And then he's got to stay on course, fill that outside zone 1 by not going over. That was a big mistake by Ueo in the lead. He didn't just go 1 tire off for a little bit. He went 2 tires off for almost the entirety of that zone. And then he dropped a tire in the touch and go as well. So Kanta can clean his lead up and really take an advantage there lead-to-lead comparison-wise. In the chase, of course, Ueo's got to put that pressure on all the way through and not let Kanta get away.
Yanaguita was pretty successful in jumping the light, trying to get out there. Sometimes we see that backfire, so it actually paid off for him. He was able to maintain relative proximity, and you pretty much stated clearly what he's got to do here to get the win in the lead position. Taking a look here as Ueo. Can't let him get away. Nice little snap there. Rolling into the initiation is Yanaguita, and look at this. He is pulling a massive gap. And now Ueo trying to catch up, but a big mistake from him in outside zone 1. The young driver really not buckling under the pressure here, and in the lead run, really nice transition to that final inside clip, and we see some clapping here from the whole podium.
Ueo may have had a mechanical error there, or a mishap with his car. You can see at the finish line, it looks like he might have shut it down just across the finish line, but he definitely made a huge mistake from initiation outside zone 1. Kanta has a nice initiation. It's not snappy, but it rolls beautifully and smoothly. Right here is where Ueo goes way offline. Low angle, not really following Kanta at all, but Kanta's putting together a great lead run, and then you can see Ueo cheating there on the line, trying to catch up to Kanta. Right here, he gets a little bit closer. Watch what happens when they get to the finish line. Kanta gets over the line, and as soon as Ueo, he's almost not even over the finish line, and he's already straightening up. So I'd see that potentially there was an error mechanically with that car that he had to shut down. That's potentially what happened, just looking at what I see there, but it could be way off. You never know.
Well, it looks like it's going to be an early exit for Katsuhiro Ueo. He will not be your 2019 Formula Drift Japan champion, and Kanta Yanaguita will continue into competition, moving on into the Grade 8.
So that was another big upset, Ryan. 18th place Yanaguita just beat second place Ueo, so that's a big one.
And we find ourselves down to 4, so Yanaguita playing the role of spoiler. We knew it was going to be a tough battle for Ueo to make it into that championship category. He would have to pretty much win the event and hope other guys win out earlier, but now he has exited stage left, and Yanaguita will face the winner of this next battle here. Koichi Yamashita versus Kazuki Hayashi. We still have the one more time battle to go back to of Shinji Minowa and Fujino, but we'll see this first. Yamashita is the closest competitor right now to Andrew Gray in terms of points. Gray moved up about 16 points by advancing into the Grade 8. Yamashita, if he can get into the Grade 8 as well, would be able to close that back down to 4 points.
So these are big championship implications here because of how close Yamashita is to Gray. And he is our prime candidate, we'd say, right at the moment, you know, points-wise for taking out Andy Gray in terms of the championship race.
Here we go, quickly underway in the top 16. Yamashita taking the lead against Hayashi. Nice little initiation there, quick e-brake pull, but back on the throttle early. Gets out to that outside zone, scrubs it right along the outside part of that zone, pulling a big gap now deep into that second outside zone, pushing to the third and extending that lead over Hayashi, who just does not have the grip and speed here. And Ryan, from first pass, that was not Yamashita trying to run away. It looked like he was filling the zones the way that he was supposed to. Just looked like Hayashi did not have the gas here to compete against Yamashita.
Yamashita fulfilled all the lead driver responsibilities. I don't think he was trying to get away at all. You just see that he did a better job of getting through the course, and Hayashi in the chase overshot outside zone 1 and just hung on to it way too long. So watch Yamashita here, right on the rumble strip, beautifully done. And then you see that Hayashi still off the track, one tire off at the end of that zone. Right here, Yamashita scared me a bit as he went through that little bump going towards outside zone 3. The car straightened slightly, but he was back on throttle and he made it through there without a problem. He just had that slight hiccup right there in terms of his angle. And Yamashita always has a huge cheering squad here at every event that we attend, and there you go, a little bit of their handiwork. Now Hayashi going into the lead position, he's going to have to put together a really high-quality lead run. Yamashita was on that rumble strip in outside zone 1. That was a really great line through there. He did a good job transitioning to the touch and go to outside zone 2. He only had a bobble going from 2 to 3, going over that bump. There is a bit of a bump there in the transition from the race course to that little connector road that we use, and we've seen that little bump really affect some drivers in a big way. Benjamin Chum earlier today in 32, as he was going over that bump, the accessory belt came off on his engine, and he lost power and went into the wall, potentially writing off his car over there. So not really a great outcome for him, and we've seen other people have problems with that bump as well that caused them to go into the outside zone 3 wall instead. So it's a tricky little spot right there.
Second half of the battle underway. Both drivers rocket ship down that front straight. Hayashi pressure on. Big long e-brake pull. Now back on throttle. Yamashita makes a bit of an adjustment there. Reduces the angle, but now gets back in the pocket. Hayashi's got to really have a solid lead run here, but he's way off the touch and go. Better on outside zone 2, but Yamashita right up in the pocket here. Understands that he's just got to keep it close, not make any major mistakes. It looks like he's going to get the job done here. As we take a look back one more time.
You can tell the difference between these two leads. You know, I don't know if it's conveyed through the TV or your laptop if you're watching at home, but just watching this live, there was a lack of urgency, let's say, from the Hayashi lead run that we had when Yamashita was leading. It just looked a little bit slower, a little bit less frenetic, let's say, less aggressive. But in the chase position, that meant that Yamashita looked very relaxed. He was just kind of there. You know, he was biding his time, just putting the car in the right places. He didn't really have to work too hard to keep up here in this position. And I don't know if it's a power difference between the two cars maybe, or it's just Hayashi's driving style. But Yamashita definitely had that urgency when he was leading that Hayashi couldn't match, and going lead to lead couldn't match it there either.
Well, it looks like you're implying Yamashita and all the other two judges agree with you. It is a unanimous decision. He will be moving on into the Great 8, so he will reclose that gap to Andrew Gray, and he will now have to face the young Kanta Yanaguida in the Great 8. So now I believe we are going to be circling back to that one more time battle. The final driver of Shinji Minowa in the championship chase, not yet to make it into the Great 8. Bit of a back and forth battle here. Both drivers with some areas that they could improve on here in the second battle. It'll be Shinji taking the lead once again, with Fujino chasing him down.
In this situation, you have to wonder if Shinji's confidence is shaken a little bit, and is Fujino's built up because of that one more time that he potentially didn't expect coming to this first competition with this car.
All right, here we go. Fujino
Wow,
times it.
wow.
Wow. Oh, wow. And we have got a big collision there. That's going to shut it down. Fujino was pacing him very closely down the front straight. This is certainly going to be a perfect opportunity to see from the drone the acceleration between both drivers coming down that front straight. Fujino was off into the kitty litter, and he will probably sit there until told. Is it?
Yeah, he cannot move even if he wanted to.
He is deep stuck in there. Ryan, let's see from the run that we just saw. Walk us through this.
It looked like Fujino was just way too aggressive on the initiation here. You can see that he comes in and just doesn't get the car slowed down. He just drives into the side of Shinji Minowa, unfortunately. I think Shinji was doing everything that he was meant to do in the lead position. He was just minding his business in front and doing his own thing, and he just got plowed into by a Ferrari. Not something you can say every day, especially a 550 Maranello. And yeah, you can see he's buried in there pretty well, and then he goes straight off track. He definitely had some speed built up and was trying to close that gap that had built up just on the acceleration up to initiation. So, yeah, we said that Ferrari was fast, Ryan, and it looks like a little bit too fast in this case in the hands of Fujino there, a little bit too aggressive. You can't fault him for trying, though, trying to keep that proximity, trying to not let Shinji get away, and that is one of the big ways that you lose, right? You don't even have proximity at the initiation. You're not going to build it throughout the track anywhere else, but unless you cheat. So the best way to maintain proximity is to have it in the first place. And he just tried a little too hard there, I think.
Well, interestingly enough, that happened after run number 1. So at least according to the Formula Drift Japan rules that they've adopted, he could use a competition timeout and try to get back for the second run. But let's see if we can figure out what's going to happen here on the second half, or whether or not Fujino is going to go out. We'll take a quick commercial break, be right back here at the 5th and final round of the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship. Ichiban, everybody, as we are in the final stages. You can see right there, just off to your right-hand side of the screen, that is Shinji Minowa limping off of the course. He did sustain some pretty good damage, but was able to drive off. On the other hand, we did see Fujino go off on a lift, it looks like. Or no, he got pulled out and then kind of wobbled off the course. So we are still in an ambiguous situation on whether or not he is going to opt for that second run. I assume, Ryan, that all 3 judges agree that it was fault of Fujino.
That's correct, Ryan.
Okay, so that means that it will be an incomplete for Fujino. The weight of the scales has shifted into Minowa's side of things, but Fujino does have the right to continue on if he wants to use a competition timeout, and if indeed he can fix the vehicle in that time frame of 5 minutes. But while we wait for that, we will move on to our next battle, the final battle the second to last battle in the top 16. That is Kazuya Matsukawa taking on Teruyoshi Iwai. And as soon as they are ready to go, we will get them on the line and get things underway. It's been a pretty nice past few days. Weather here has been really good, all things considered. Typically, we see some rain and really gnarly conditions, at least one day of competition in Formula Drift Japan. Not so this round. It's been slightly overcast with a good little breeze, a little bit of sun here and there, not too hot, not too cold. Overall, a really nice fall weekend as we get to the final round of the year, where we've in the past we've actually seen snow at this round, crazy enough. But this weekend it's pretty awesome. We'll have one more battle after Matsukawa and Iwai. That'll be Yuichi Amagai taking on Yoshichika Tamagawa. And of course, we've got to find out what's going to go on with this gentleman here. And Ryan, you have to wonder. It looks like the car is
It was a pretty solid hit.
Pretty fine, at least from an outside looking in, I guess.
Mechanically, it looks fine.
Mechanically, it looks fine. You have to wonder, will it have an impact on any driving moving forward if he does indeed move on into the Grade 8?
The positive thing is they both drove off the track. They didn't have to be carted off on a flatbed, but, it always looks worse when they both sit there and not move.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh, they're both broken. But Fujino was stuck, and we do tell them in the driver's meeting not to move if there is an accident, a collision, whether it be with a wall or another car. So that's what they were doing. They were both listening. I think Shinji did drive out of there all on his own, but he just wanted to wait for the all clear to do so. He wanted to be told that it was all right to drive off.
You pretty happy with that?
I am pretty happy.
Pretty happy with the listening?
Absolutely. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's great. So that's why sometimes it can look worse than it was, you know. But like I said, they both drove off track, which means that they are at least rolling under their own power. There's no suspension arms broken. There could be some bends in there somewhere, but for the most part, it just looks like cosmetic on Shinji's car. And the Ferrari, we didn't really get a good look as it went by, but it looked like cosmetic as well. I didn't see any wobbles in the wheels or anything like that as he was going by, and he was able to steer. But it was a rear-to-rear contact, so it was the rear quarter, the rear left quarter of the Ferrari to the rear right quarter of the JZX90. So it could just be strictly body work. That means they just tape everything up, get it all strapped in there, so it doesn't fly off on the track, and get back to the start line, and then we can watch the second part of that battle.
Well, that would be nice to see as we wait to hear the official result from the team of Fujino. There you have your next driver up. That is Kazuya Matsukawa. As you can see, a bit of frenetic behavior there.
And in this situation, since Shinji was not at fault, he does have 10 minutes to look at his car and can potentially call a competition timeout. Beyond that, it is Fujino who is kind of under fire right now. He only has 5 minutes. He's got that competition timeout if he's using it. I'm sure he is. It'd be silly not to at this point. And if he does go over that competition timeout, that 5-minute allotment, then he will be out of competition at that time.
Yeah. All right, here we go, Ryan.
A couple of old cars up here, Ryan.
Yes, this is a throwback battle here. Two classics.
One does look a little more modern than the other, thanks to some modern body kits and stuff like that, but both very old cars.
All right, here we go. Matsukawa will be taking the lead against EY. Straight line approach. Nice little snap there. Big, long e-brake pull. EY adjusts pretty nicely to it, but then starts falling back. Oh, he angles up. Gets lost in the smoke line there. Matsukawa, not a quick transition to the touch and go, and also a little bit shallow on outside zone 2. That may have allowed EY to close the door here, as the pace seemed to drop down a little bit from Matsukawa after that touch and go area. But we've got the first half underway. Let's take a look at that one more time.
As they run up to the initiation, it looks like they're staying relatively close together. And as we watch Matsukawa in the lead position there, decent initiation from him. EY falls off right here. He goes a little bit wide on line and angles up a little bit. Has to try to catch up again beyond that point. And then you can see Matsukawa right there, not really getting to the touch and go and filling outside zone 2. And that allows EY in the chase position to gain proximity while not really cheating anything at all. He's just able to stay on the right line, but close in on that on the gap that had been established a little bit earlier on. So from EY, it started off a little bit rocky, but he did catch up and built up that proximity again due to Matsukawa's errors in the lead.
All right, so both drivers making their way back to the start line here as we will get the second half of the battle underway. It'll be Matsukawa chasing down EY this time around. You can see in the background there the next pair getting ready to go. That's Amagai and Tamagawa, and of course trying to come to a conclusion on Minawa and Fujino. Both drivers back at the line here.
There we go.
EY getting out of the gate pretty quickly, banging those gears down the front straight, mid-course, over to the outside. Nice little snap there. And Matsukawa is right up on the inside. He does a bit better in his chase run to stay relatively on the line. Falls back on the touch and go, also drops a tire, and EY pushing out very wide to outside zone 3. Big angle there through the center section, coming over the crossover and actually looking better on the second half of the course. Matsukawa was with him on that first outside zone, but on the touch and go, he fell off, and he allowed EY to kind of shine out front, Ryan. A great job there by EY out front. Didn't really see too many major mistakes.
Really like EY's initiation. He's been consistently doing that initiation throughout qualifying and competition. Look at that snap to angle, really great there. Gets back on throttle fairly quickly. Matsukawa's right there next to him, and then you can see he's just on the inside of that outside line there for outside zone number 1, and then number 2 does a great job there, deep in number 3, and this is where Matsukawa falls off and is not really able to match the line, the angle, or the speed of Iwai through the latter part of the track.
So the 85 and the FC, 2 chassis from an era past doing battle here at Okayama. Who's it going to be? Looks like, at least from Ryan's tenor, he's leaning towards Iwai. Robbie Nishida says one more time. Ryan Lontaine says Iwai, and Andy Yen says one more time as well. So Ryan, because you are the lone man standing here, would love to get some feedback from the other 2 judges on the reasoning for the one more time.
Yeah, they were saying that they both made errors on either ends of the track. So one made errors early on and the other one made errors later on. So that is they're calling for that. One in the lead and one in the chase, clearly. So they're going to call that a one more time, my friends.
You sure it's not because they love that chassis?
Oh, yeah, they are both Corolla dorks, aren't they?
Just kidding, everybody.
That's rude. I shouldn't call them Corolla dorks, but they're self-professed Corolla dorks. I'm just repeating their affinity for that car.
All right, so we will see the one more time battle there from Matsukawa and Iwai. Another chance for both drivers here. And we will now see the final battle, at least on paper, of the top 16. This is Yuichi Amagai. And had an impressive second run in qualifying, got him up into that 6th place position, and taking on Yoshichika Tamagawa, who also really did a great job not to buckle under the pressure of missing his first qualifying run, and came through with an 11th place in his qualification. We'll see those 2 guys do battle right now.
This has a potential to be a pretty great battle as well, Ryan.
Amagai, the lead driver, out through the chicane. Stalking him is Tamagawa right there. Nice little initiation, but he's going to be on the way on the inside line. The front end is going to wash out. He's going to understeer, go off course. Okay, run is over. Run is over here. Tamagawa knows.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Come on, dude. Oh.
That's why when somebody incompletes ahead of you, you just stop drifting, Ryan.
Ooh, that could have been much, much worse.
Yes, it could have.
So Tamagawa avoids a big disaster there. It did look like he got up against the tire wall a little bit, but let's see what happened here to Amagai, Ryan, and then we'll follow Tamagawa to the little incident with the wall.
Yeah, Tamagawa kind of got lucky, I think, because that was a very poor initiation on his part, and it just looks like I don't know what happened there. The grip level was just off for Amagai. He ended up having more rear grip than front and understeered off the track. And then Tamagawa here just goes off and bumps into the tire wall. You know, this is something that happens often when you try to do this. Because you get offline and off your rhythm when you get out of the way of a lead car that's incompleted, sometimes you kind of get out of your rhythm, and then you're trying to drift through the rest of the track. But you're transitioning in the wrong spots, and then you end up offline, and something like that happens. It's just better once that happens to shut down. And if I was a spotter, I would tell my driver, stop drifting, because you're going to have a lot more tire left when you get back to the start line to do your lead at that point in time as well, right? Strategically, kind of makes sense. You know, you're going to have more rubber on under the car, as opposed to what he just did was drift through the majority of the track while the other car stopped drifting. So now the other car is going to have more rubber on their tires theoretically. So it's just little things like that that can, and of course not crashing either, makes a big difference.
Strategery.
Staying on the track is number one strategic move you can make at any one of these events, especially when the lead driver that was just ahead of you incompleted. There's no reason to keep driving through and risking that kind of thing.
All right, so it'll be an incomplete for Yuichi Amagai. Tamagawa will have to assess any potential damage to his vehicle. Didn't look like a very strong hit, though, so hopefully it's just a little pressure on the rear fender there. There he is, Amagai heading back, and there we see Tamagawa coming into the foreground here.
I have a picture of Tamagawa's car from 2017 that I took, and his car looks exactly the same as it does right now. There's nothing that's different, but I fear that he might have to do some repairs to it now because of that little bump into the tire wall.
Really cool setup here using the traditional hot pits and pits here at Okayama International Circuit. We also do that at Fuji, but as you can see from a little bit from afar, some of the potential.
Yeah, the damage on the front fender, the mirror, the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he did some damage to that car, but they might just be, what are they doing, telling him no? Kevin, who's that?
So there you see on the radio there with that hat on, that is Kevin Wells, competition director. We have a direct line of communication with him.
Jack Roush.
So he is letting us know what's going on.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Do you remember that Tamagawa called his competition timeout in qualifying?
You know?
Isn't that interesting, Ryan?
So we got a problem.
You were mentioning how strategically that was not the right move to make.
Yesterday, yeah.
During qualifying, calling your competition timeout on your first run of qualifying might not be the best thing to do because, hey, you might need it in competition.
Well, yeah, we've always questioned when people do that in the U.S. series, and we do see it a lot more in Pro 2, and I can understand the reason why, because there can be a lot more drivers competing for open slots, and so really getting the best possible run that you can to slot in is important. In a 32, 33 driver car field, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to use that competition timeout, because if you can get a good pass, you're going to make it into the 32. Here in this, with 60 drivers, I guess I could see, you know, some of the reasoning behind it, but now he finds himself in a really tough position because he does not have that competition timeout, and that basically means he can't really get hands on the car because he did that on his own. So what our guys will be looking for is whether or not it's safe. If it is safe, he's going to have to go out as is. If it's not safe, they're going to pull him out of competition, and that would mean a 0. What would that mean?
He's a DNF, essentially. It's not even an incomplete. It's just you didn't. Car number 19 is using his 5. So that's Amagai. Amagai needs to call a competition timeout. He did go off the track on his own. But so many different things have just come into play here, Ryan. Using the competition timeout in qualifying, which doesn't give him the competition timeout now. The continuing to drift after the lead car is incompleted, which he didn't need to do, then going off the track and hitting the tires. It's one, I don't know, we don't want to call them bad decisions. It's just one error after another, one thing after another. It's kind of interesting how that played out. So let's watch this, because we are going to do the rest of this battle shortly. And you can see there, wow. You could see the rate of closure.
It looked
from
so
that
much
Ferrari.
more aggressive than what I saw damage-wise from their cars.
Yeah.
It seemed very violent.
Yeah, that was a really big. The rate of closure there from the Ferrari to the JZX90 was very, very high. You could see that he was coming in really quickly and just couldn't get the car slowed down at all, really. Just used the JZX90. He used Shinji's car as a bumper, basically, as a stopper. And it sent both of them careening off track into the gravel trap. Looks like they're both repaired and ready to go, though. It looks like the Fujino's Ferrari 550 there just came out of the burnout box and is coming towards the start line. He's going to be leading now, but he has a huge deficit as he was deemed responsible for that crash on run 1. Shinji Minowa does have the advantage of not being at fault for that. So Shinji does not have an incomplete, but Fujino does.
All right, so we've had a pretty eventful top 16 here. A couple one more times. We just saw the incident there between Fujino and Minowa. The repairs have been made now, and off into the background we have Amagai taking his competition timeout, and Tamagawa having to wait it out after he made contact with the tire wall after the incomplete in the lead by Amagai. So it's been pretty crazy, but meanwhile, if you're just joining us, we've got Masuyama and Gray coming up in the first battle in the Grade 8. Fujinaka will be taking on the winner of Minowa and Fujino. Kanta Yanaguida is going to be taking on Yamashita on the right-hand side of the bracket, and we still have to fill the final 2 spots between Matsukawa, Iwai, Amagai, and Tamagawa.
Yes, we do.
So this will be the last spot to close up on the left-hand side of the bracket if we can get a winner here. And as you said, Ryan, a big advantage, at least for Minowa on this second half of the run. The incomplete for Fujino, obviously the tough part of the battle for him.
Shinji's car is identical to the car he's been using for years, but it's a new chassis this season. He has the old chassis parked in the back of his shop, still all stickered up, just without wheels on it and all the other bits. But his car now is damaged.
All right, here we go. Will we see a clean run between these two gentlemen? Fujino definitely in a big deficit. He's going to go way off course. And also, Minowa shuts it down there. Want to know if that was independent. It won't really matter, however, even if the judges zero out Minowa in the chase position. That would be double zeros on that run. We'd default back to the first one. It would be Minowa gets the win. So
it looks to me like in the lead position, Fujino slowed down to try to kind of avoid going off track too seriously, and Shinji was in the chase trying to not pass him. That's what it looked like to me, but let's watch it again. So you see Fujino in the lead. He's already having problems there. He over-rotates, slows down. Shinji is trying to not pass him because Fujino's gone so far off, and it looked like Shinji may have expected him to go way further off than that, trying to stay out of the way. So I would put that totally on Fujino personally, and we'll have to see what the other judges think. But in my eyes, that looked like Fujino slowing in a very serious way in a non-decel area, trying to keep his car on the track. It looked like he was going way too fast there and just trying to get away from the chase driver.
Well, it won't matter either way you interpret it. Logically, it would have to go to Shinji Minowa, even if he did incomplete on that run. And he does get a unanimous victory, so he will be facing Manabu Fujinaka in the Grade 8. So we are seeing Matsukawa come up to the line here, and Ryan Lantane is off the cones for a second. He's getting some information from our competition director. It sounds like there is some competitive movement going on between the final 4 competitors, whether that's EY or Amagai or Tamagawa. I'm not quite sure, but Ryan, why don't you fill us in on what you just found out?
Update. Amagai is retiring because of his off-course excursion. Something is broken and he can't come back. Oh shit, oh shit. I'm sorry for swearing. I had a wasp or a big killer bee thing the size of a hummingbird at my face, and he's flying away now, thankfully. I just hit him with my, whew, that was really close. That thing was on my head. Anyway, Amagai has retired, and Amagai is out of competition. Tamagawa's car is in the background there. You can see him. He's ready to go to the burnout box. He has been cleared for competition. The car is okay, even though he was not able to touch it. He was not able to fix anything on it. The tech guy, Kevin, has cleared it for competition.
Okay, so this is the one more time battle from Matsukawa and EY. Let's see what we can do here on the second.
Wow, huge separation, right?
Big initiation by Matsukawa. He gets a good jump. This time EY was not on it, and he leaves a gap to be closed here as Matsukawa comes flying through that second outside zone. EY pushing deep into the third. He's coming really close to that wall, but it's the separation here that seems to be the point of difference. He just did not get the jump and could not play catch-up after the initiation. So Ryan, as we take a look back here, looks like EY just did not pace himself properly out of the gate, even with the chicane.
Not at all, Ryan. He's way behind here and is never going to catch up, unfortunately. You can see Matsukawa in the lead position. Did great on outside zone 1, missed the touch and go, did better on outside zone 2, pretty deep in outside zone 3. You can see EY going nice and deep in there as well, but unfortunately he's about, I don't know, what is that, 8 car lengths behind, 10 car lengths behind. There's no proximity at all from EY, so that's going to be a huge disadvantage for EY at that point in time, and that's unfortunate. He had an opportunity here because he was doing so well. You know, the first battle did go one more time. He did put together a pretty good run in the lead and chase, but unfortunately right there, his chase suffered significantly in this one more time battle.
All right, so both drivers making their way back to the start line. We've got Andrew Gray, Koichi Yamashita, Masuyama, Minowa now, all making it into the Grade 8. So the championship contenders, which has been whittled down to 4, are all into the next round of competition. Final slot open here in the Grade 8 for one of these two competitors.
He is going to come back with his homies. I just
You ever heard? You probably don't know this, but there used to be like an old house song that went, "There's bees all over my body. There's bees all over my body."
That thing was massive, and I kind of like swatted it away with my clipboard, and it's Andy Yen just said he's going to come back with his homies. I hope he doesn't, because if they come back, we're done. The thing was massive. Oof. That's certain death getting stung by that thing. I've never seen a bee that big, or that's not a bee, that's a wasp, or I don't know what that thing was. Anyway, it was huge. Doing a little course cleanup. They did get really wide there. I saw some debris flying up as Iwai went through that section. I don't think anybody touched the wall, but it just looked like there was some stuff flying up, potentially from previous cars going through there. And once we get that cleaned up, we'll get everybody back on track here, and then we'll get this battle finished up, huh?
Really amazing corner workers here have actually made a lot of these incidents go by very quickly. And luckily there has not been any significant oil down on any of these wrecks, so we've been able to get through just by clearing the debris.
Hope you didn't jinx it, Ryan.
Let me knock on wood real quick. There we
Okay,
go.
thank you.
All right, we're fixed. Second half of the battle here. Matsukawa versus Iwai. Looks like Matsukawa got a little bit of an edge in his lead run. Can Iwai make it back? Down the front straight, good. Uh-oh, red flag. Nope.
No. Was that a misshift or something?
Wow, that was weird.
That may have been a misshift. I don't know what. We'll have to. It's going to be a hard one to see.
Well, now on the
replay.
outside zone, coming through this center section here after a bit of a wonky start. Now going 2 tires off. He's headed towards the wall.
He
taps it. He taps the wall, and Matsukawa does not want to pass him, but he sees that he goes off course. And 2 really weird incidents there. One that was pretty clear. He did tap the wall in outside zone 3, but also looked like there was a drop in momentum and speed before the initiation that seemed to be led by Iwai here, Ryan. So let's check it out once again.
How dare he hit the wall with that car? There was something odd running up to initiation here. It did look like he misshifted or something right there. And then we might have to get the drone in on this one if we can, but it might not matter because he did incomplete later on in the run anyway. You can see Matsukawa there in proximity. Iwai goes 2 tires off, does a little tire tap, wall tap right there, and then goes 4 wheels off, straightens up, gives up, and Matsukawa goes by. So, yeah, there was a huge slowdown there on the run up to initiation. So. Don't know if that was a mechanical issue. Did the car shut off? Did he misshift? I don't know. Hard to say.
From your mind, it would be a mistake, obviously.
Yep.
But did you see much of an effect on the chase driver?
That's where this gets sticky. Do you need an effect for something like that, or do you have to have an effect? Is the chase driver being really competent and able to adapt? Is that sometimes make the error look less intense?
Well, it won't matter because the wall contact more or less solidified it, and he will be moving on into the Great 8. That is Kazuya Matsukawa. So the Great 8 is now filled. We'll just do this by run for procedure. But Tamagawa, after a pretty scary incident, nail-biting incident in his battle against Amagai then bowed out of competition, so he will now have a straight pass into the Great 8. And you see the red tape there. He was able to get to the vehicle.
I think that's our start staff that just put tape on there to hold it together.
Okay.
They have red, black, and white tape at the start line so they can tape up any bumpers or anything. And apparently red was the closest color they could get to his orange.
So now he will be able to get hands on the cars and fix anything that he needs to. But let's just remember, he does not have that competition timeout. So the Great 8 is set. We will take a quick commercial break, come here and kick it off at the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship here at Okayama International Circuit. Welcome back to the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship here at Okayama International Circuit. We lay before you probably and arguably one of the most significant championship battles that we're going to see this afternoon. Andrew Gray, his team standing on the sidelines.
Nervously.
Wataru Masuyama. If Andrew Gray loses here and Masuyama gets as far as second place, he will be your champion by 2 points. but he would have to also take out Fujinaka or Minowa in that particular circumstance. If Gray wins here, Masuyama's out.
And again, Andy Gray is in the chase, which is not, in the first part of the battle.
All right, here we go. Masuyama has always had great leads. Nice initiation, big angle there, but this time in the pocket is Andrew Gray, driving in the smoke line. Great execution by Gray, but Masuyama, massive angle through outside zone 2, but he does miss it a little bit. Gray tucking up on the inside, trying to close the door. Masuyama looking great out front. Nice move by Gray, a defensive move to avoid contact there, and that was a great start to the battle. So Ryan, walk us through there. I noticed maybe a little bit of line on outside zone 2 from Masuyama, but outside that, really fun battle to watch.
Yeah, nice initiation from Masuyama there. Gray is right with him, not letting him get away. We know that Gray's got the power. Masuyama does good on outside zone 1, gets out to the touch and go, but misses outside zone 2. Not really as deep as we'd like to see him in outside zone 3, and you can see Andy's right with him right there. Kind of does a little bit of a hesitation there on his transition in the chase position from Gray, but overall pretty great run from both drivers. Let's look at it from our aerial shot. As we keep saying, this aerial shot will bring out anything that we've missed anywhere else on the track. So you can see right there, good angle from both drivers. Gray's not letting him get away. Masuyama's doing a great job in the lead right up until here. And this is where he transitions and misses outside zone 2. Doesn't go deep enough in outside zone 3. And then as he comes around here, you can see Andrew Gray kind of hesitates on the transition, trying to get out of the way of Masuyama to be able to do his transition.
All right, so a couple areas for both drivers in Masuyama's lead and in Gray's chase that can be approved here as they swap positions. Masuyama has been credited with really developing his chase skills, but Andrew Gray is a fast and very grippy driver.
A lot of power in that car.
A lot of power in that car, and he knows it so well. His setups are nearly perfect. Masuyama gets a bit of a jump out of the gate, recognizing he needs to keep it. And that may have been Gray jumping the start line.
Yep. In this case, it had to have been because there were no cones hit.
So that may have been Gray noticing Masuyama coming out of the gate, getting a jump on him, and him leaving a little bit early there. So he got called on it from the starters, or was it a pylon?
It was a pylon touch.
Okay.
Pylon touchy. I missed that. Thought it was a jump.
All right, so pylon touchy.
Pylon touchy. Got to watch that. It's dangerous.
Pressure for a lot of these guys. You have to think maybe bigger pressure for Gray here. Masuyama has done an incredible job in 2019. I don't think falling short of the championship is going to be a nightmare situation for him. But for Andrew Gray, it's become basically an expectation of him to win championships. He's got 3, looking for 4. Masuyama could play spoiler and go on to win his first. Masuyama does get that jump again. Gray out of the chicane pretty quickly, pacing him down the front straight. Gray heads to the initiation. Masuyama stays within the smoke line. Can he keep it close? Little bit of reduction of angle there for Masuyama. And Gray is starting to pull. Here comes Masuyama with massive angle. He's going to go off course. He's going to make a big mistake in the chase position, and he is going to throw it away to Andrew Gray. Wow. So Ryan, walk us through that. It seemed to be building to something dramatic. Was that what we expected to see?
Well, this is where experience and calm driving nature, just being able to be in the moment and not think outside of what your goal is, your job is right now. That's where this comes into play. And you can see Andrew Gray placing his car exactly where it needs to be, doing everything right. Masuyama, on the other hand, is pushing really hard because he knows he's got to stay close. He's got to try to close that gap that has already been established. And he's over-speeding through that straight area here. And as he comes into outside zone 2, just throws the car a little bit too aggressively and goes off into the gravel. So it looks like Masuyama has some developing to do as a driver, because you could see when he was in his lead run, he was trying to get away. He wasn't really fulfilling all of the lead driver responsibilities, so he let Andrew Gray get to him. He knew that Andrew Gray was fast, and he was letting that get into his head, and it definitely got into his head in the chase position, making mistakes that he's not really known for.
Unanimous and big decision there for Andrew Gray. Wataru Masuyama, an incredible 2019 season. He will finish off his campaign with 303 points, 46 points outside of the championship. He currently sits in 3rd place, but that could change with the next battle up, as Andrew Gray will live to fight another day, and it'll be against the winner of this next battle here, Manabu Fujinaka and Shinji Minowa. Minowa coming off of a challenging battle with Fujino, and finally able to get that win after the one more time. And the wreck, we are uncertain of whether or not any significant damage was sustained to Minowa. They have very limited space around here to do straight line pulls or even drift, so we just don't know exactly if there is any damage underlying of Shinji's vehicle.
Fujinaka here is the lowest qualified driver currently in competition by a long shot. The next closest one is Tamagawa in 11th. Fujinaka qualified 29th. Minowa was qualified in 5th position, so this is a pretty big spread in terms of qualifying position, especially this late in the game. So we'll see what happens here between these two guys. I think all the cleaning crew is just now getting off the track. Very last one there, sweeping a few rocks. He should be getting off, and then we'll set the lights and get these cars off the line.
Shinji right now sits at 291 points after his win in the top 16. He's 58 points outside of the lead. He would be eliminated here from the championship if he loses. Nice little snap there for Minowa. Front end kind of twisted a little bit, but now he's back on it. Fills that outside zone very well. Shallower line for Fujinaka in the chase position, trying to find his footing here to gain some ground. But Minowa looks very strong. Fujinaka, on the other hand, still looking for an area to attack, but is unable to get it as they come through the finish line. Shinji with just a little bit of a mistake after initiation, but seemed to pull it together and have a solid lead run after that.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. He did an excellent job in outside zone 1. So look here at the initiation. Bit of a bobble there, nothing too serious, but look at this line. Right on that outside line, gets to the rumble strip, which is fair play, and then gets himself rotated to the touch and go. Outside zone 2 was well done. Pretty deep in outside zone 3 right there. And in the chase position, you can see that Fujinaka is trying to keep up, but not really succeeding all that well. He was cheating in a couple of areas on the track to try to gain that or gain the proximity that he really didn't have. So he was making some sacrifices in the chase position, whereas in the lead, it looked like Shinji was doing everything that was asked of him up there for the most part. So really great lead from him. Fujinaka's going to have to run one heck of a lead run to outdo what Shinji just did in his lead. And in terms of Shinji trying to win in the chase position, he's just got to stick it to Fujinaka's door much better than Fujinaka just did, without making the sacrifices and the compromises that Fujinaka did.
Well, if Shinji wins here against Fujinaka, he would overtake Wataru Masuyama for 3rd place and be 42 points outside of Andrew Gray. So this would be a big win for him, irrespective of how everything ends. It would put him in the top 3 finishers, which is quite an accomplishment. Here we go, second half of the battle. Both drivers getting out of the gate around the same time. Fujinaka, straight line approach. Minowa coming over from the other side of the course. Little snap initiation there, a couple little adjustments from Fujinaka. Minowa keeping it close here as Fujinaka comes off outside zone 1 a little bit earlier with shallower line. And an adjustment there by Minowa, who loses some angle, and once again, maybe a bit over aggressive here. He looked great coming through that center section, but obviously that crossover will have to be analyzed. Let's take a look at this here once again. It's Shinji Minowa and Manabu Fujinaka.
I thought Manoa was done as he was transitioning to outside zone 2, but somehow he managed to stay just behind Fujinaka. So watch here. Fujinaka does a good job here of getting the car to angle. Doesn't fill outside zone 1 at all. And then as he transitions here, looks like he had a big lift before he transitioned, and Shinji had nowhere to go. So Shinji's trying to adjust and then loses angle as he comes back around through that area. So that could be put on Fujinaka for slowing through the touch and go area, which he's not supposed to do. You can see there was a big lift there, and Shinji's expecting him to stay on throttle through that area, but instead Fujinaka is slowing down. So Shinji then has to adjust, and I can't believe that Shinji was able to do what he did there and still maintain angle and not make contact.
Point out,
Fujinaka.
just so everybody knows where you're not supposed to be decelling as a lead driver.
Yeah, so right here, you can see no smoke. He's definitely decelling right there, and somehow Shinji managed to stay and drift behind him, but does straighten shortly thereafter. Now, the question is, are all the judges going to see it that way, and are they all going to put that onus on to Fujinaka, and are they going to forgive Minoa's mistakes afterwards because of what Fujinaka did there?
Well, Andy Yen, the style judge, was pretty consistent on that part of the course yesterday, taking off those 10 points.
Right.
Let's take a look at the first run. Is this being called by us, Ryan, or is this being called by the other guys?
I am not sure. So right here, watch that big lift right there, and then Shinji has nowhere to go, ends up going off right there, tries to get back on throttle, and then makes some mistakes. Now, we said in the qualifying meeting, and we did say in tandem as well, if you slow in that area, we're going to be excusing the chase driver's mistakes because of that. That's not an area where you're supposed to be slowing down, and that could cause that chase driver to make some pretty big corrections through that area. And clearly, I am the only one who's looking at this in the way that I was looking at it. So.
Well, it looks like Andy Yen was slightly in your corner there, but that is our first true split decision there.
Yeah. It certainly was.
So I just hear Ryan Lantain talking to the judge closest to him, Andy Yen, about getting his explanation for the result one more time. And Ryan, tell us what you heard.
Yeah, so Andy did put fault on Fujinaka for slowing where he wasn't supposed to. He gave Shinji the benefit of the doubt for the 2 tires off in touch and go, or sorry, outside zone 2, but then he put the straighten on Shinji on his own beyond that. And then Robbie just said that it was an incomplete on Shinji's part for the straighten over there, and that's why he went with Fujinaka.
I see. So both Andy and Robbie Nishida basically thought that the straighten part was much further past where the decel occurred, and that Shinji should have been able to drive through that.
Right.
And you felt that was kind of a continuation.
Well, I feel that if something that aggressive happens to you and you go off course here, how is that not going to affect you later on?
Right.
You know, and that's not that far after. It's right there. But that's my opinion. So. Yeah.
Well, either way, it's going to be a one more time. We'll get to see it again, but it looks like we have staged the next pair up. This is Kanta Yanaguida and Yamashita. Yamashita has quietly come into this competition, but he is the closest in points to Andrew Gray. Right now, with Andrew Gray moving forward into the Final Four, he was able to get 16 points on Yamashita. So Yamashita, to get that back, needs to win here against Kanta Yanaguida. Yamashita starting off strong, gets into that outside zone, blazing a path with Yanaguida playing catch-up here. Yanaguida got a great jump against his former competitor in Ueo, but this time around, he's utilizing the second half of the course to play catch-up and did not really keep the proximity on from the start of the run. So we will take a look at the second half. And Yanaguida did get out of the gate, but maybe this time he did not get the timing just about right, Ryan.
I think you're right. It didn't work out in his favor here. You can see that Yamashita takes a huge jump on him here, and in no way can Yanaguida keep up without making some big sacrifices, which he doesn't seem to make too many of. They're just a little bit inside of the touch and go and outside zone 2. He does start to close the door a little bit, but it's kind of too little too late. You know, through the majority of the run, Yamashita just had a huge gap on him, and once we changed positions here with the drivers, it looks like Yamashita has more power. He's just going to have to utilize that in a way that he doesn't get himself into trouble in the chase position, because clearly he's faster than Kanta is. And once Kanta's in the lead, he's going to have to maintain proximity while not causing himself to make any errors and not doing that kind of surging that we sometimes see from faster drivers behind slower ones.
Well, just running some scenarios here. This is obviously a must-win for Yamashita, but if Yamashita goes out here, Andrew Gray would be your champion because Minowa is too far away in points. Even if he were to win the event, Gray would still be ahead of him. So this is very important here. We've had Gray making it to the Final Four, Minowa making it to the Final Four, and we're seeing if Yamashita can. If Minowa were to win the event and Gray still stays in the Final Four, Minowa would move into second place by 6 points, but he would still be behind Andrew Gray. So this is a must-win for Koichi Yamashita. That means if he loses here, Andrew Gray's your champion. Tense moment.
That's quite the Excel sheet you have over there, Ryan. Looks like a real Excel champion built that thing.
Yanaguida trying to fight back here. Yamashita needs this win. Can Yanaguida play spoiler? Big initiation there. Yamashita giving him a little bit of room here. Does not want to let the young driver get away. There he comes. Yamashita transitions a little bit off that touch and go. But Yanaguida's going deep into outside zone 3. And wow, a very crazy incident there. It looked like Yanaguida was going into the wall. He got off throttle, and perhaps Yamashita thought he had nowhere to go other than to take that aggressive move.
Yeah.
So Ryan, walk us through here. Is that what happened?
Well, that might have been Yamashita's only move to not make contact with him, because Kanta slowed down in a serious way there, trying to avoid contact with the wall. It's not even worth talking about what happened over here, because what's really important is what happens as Kanta goes into outside zone 3. So look right here, he's way wide, he's off throttle, he's almost braking, and I think if you try to put yourself in Yamashita's position. If he's in the car in that position, what can he do in that area when he sees Kanta slowing down that aggressively? If he gets on the brakes, he might straighten up and go into the wall himself, or potentially hit Kanta. If he tries to avoid him in any other way than what he did, he could have potentially crashed into Kanta. So maybe.
And obviously he can see him, right? It's right in front of him.
Absolutely. This is just him trying to get out of the way potentially and not make contact with him. So you can see right there, he just gets on throttle because he sees that Kanta is slowing and has incompleted essentially on his own in the lead position. And there's nowhere that he can go at that point in time but around him. So I think that Yamashita was in his in all of his rights there to do what he did. And it probably, with the experience these guys have, you have to give them a little bit of credit. They're not always doing things to make us pull our hair out up here. It's sometimes just to make sure that the whatever's about to occur is a positive outcome, as opposed to a crash or potentially the two cars coming together.
Yeah, that may have been a split-second decision that was the best decision that he made all weekend so far, because if he wrecks the car pushing Yanaguida into the wall, it could potentially be over for him as well.
Exactly.
So let's see if the other three judges concur with you. Excuse me, the other two judges.
Yeah, there is a level of self-preservation, I think, in a lot of these decisions as well.
And there's the two teams battling it out, the Top Tool team and the Working Well team of Yamashita.
So Yamashita, in that sense, again, let's do the results here first.
Okay, so that is probably going to secure it, because all three judges are going to give it to Koichi Yamashita. And Ryan, I have to imagine that the other two pretty much came down in the same way that you did on that kind of a self-preservation move there, which we typically would not see at an outside zone, a pass, right? But it looked like probably the safest maneuver that he could have done.
Yeah, I don't call that a pass so much as I do
an avoidance of a collision.
Exactly, yeah. That was strictly, somebody with a lot of experience using that experience to try to get themselves out of a potentially dangerous situation for their car or themselves.
All right, so that means that Yanaguira will finish his season in the Grade 8, and that will put him right now in 6th place, just behind Ueo. He'll move up, finishes the season with 210 points. All right, last slot available for the Final Four, Matsukawa and Tamagawa. Here we go. Grade 8 battle underway. Matsukawa flying down the front straight. Big initiation. Uh-oh, a little bit of an adjustment there. Tamagawa also adjusts. Goes off course with one tire is Matsukawa. Way early on that touch and go and a little bit less angle on that outside zone. Tamagawa trying to figure out what to do here. Surging forward, almost makes contact with the rear bumper. Now coming up on the inside again and nearly makes contact again. A crazy battle there. We saw Matsukawa flying down that front straight, Ryan, a huge initiation, and seemed to have a little bit of trouble with it as he got back on throttle.
Yeah, it might have been too big of an initiation. You can see he comes way around and then has to take angle out of the car. And in the chase position, you've got Tamagawa trying to adjust to what's going on ahead of him. He's trying to predict what's going to occur with Matsukawa's car. And he does a good job of staying, keeping his composure there in the chase position, but you can see that it threw him off a little bit. And, you know, personally, I wouldn't put that too seriously on Tamagawa because Matsukawa made such a big mistake in such a key area of the track. That's right at initiation. That's where you're getting yourself set for that first corner, and that's going to set the pace for the rest of the track. You know, just as we saw Tamagawa earlier being a little bit off because the other car went off in front of him, that set him to the point where he ended up into the tire wall over there. And, you know, those errors early on can really upset your whole line for the rest of the run. So you can't really blame the chase driver too much in that situation because the lead is not fulfilling their lead goals and is kind of interfering with how that chase driver is able to get through the course themselves.
All right, so the drivers are now resetting back at the line. We've seen this first run. The sun's starting to head down a little bit, and we still have quite a few, probably an hour or so maybe of the light that you're going to have here, but we will start to see more shadows come out on course right around this time, 4 o'clock local time here in Japan. And the wind has stilled up a little bit. All right, Tamagawa in the lead. Both drivers pretty much in sync on their initiations here. Tamagawa back on throttle. Matsukawa, a surge and a back off, but now we see both drivers leaving that outside zone. Tamagawa through the touch and go. Matsukawa, he wants to get into the finals. Can he keep the pressure on? Oh, a big mistake there. And you see Matsukawa go completely off course.
Was that caused by Tamagawa in the lead position?
It looked like a little bit of a slow up possibly from Tamagawa in the lead position. That was the first off course we've seen in that section of the track, Ryan, but walk us through it.
A much better job on initiation from Tamagawa than what Matsukawa did in his lead. You can see here he gets the angle and it's set. Front wheels aren't really moving, but then he has a little pull right there. Gets himself to the outside zone pretty nicely, but he's having a few little weird motions here, like that transition right there going to the touch and go, drops a tire there, and then watch right here. Big stall up for some odd reason right there, and then in the chase position, Matsukawa has nowhere to go. So, again, can't really blame Tamagawa too much for that in the chase.
And assuming that the other judges agree with you on that, it resulted in an incomplete for Matsukawa, and it would be due to Tamagawa's mistake. Is that the way that it would be judged? As an incomplete for Tamagawa because he forced an incomplete on Matsukawa?
No, but where are you saying incomplete? Just for dropping tires there?
Well, Matsukawa went 3 off there, right?
I guess you could call that an incomplete, but forced incomplete.
A forced incomplete,
yeah.
Right. So it would be on the other driver.
Right.
Okay. Just want to know what we're dealing with here, dog.
What are we dealing with here, man? Yeah, we'll call it that. All right, the votes are in.
Let me confer with my colleagues.
It's a tricky little one, this one.
All right, here we go. Robbie Nishida goes to Matsukawa, as does Ryan Lantain, and Andy Yen makes it a third. A unanimous decision there. So the big reduction in speed, leaving outside zone 3, coming into the crossover, exiting the crossover, results in an incomplete for the chase driver, or what would have been, but it was at the fault of Tamagawa, meaning Matsukawa gets the win unanimously.
Yeah, there were a lot of weird motions from Tamagawa on that run where he was not letting the car rotate very quickly, also dropping tires. There was a weird slowdown from outside, initiation to outside zone 1, where I don't know if it was a handbrake pull or if it was just a lift off throttle, but that was that area where you saw Matsukawa and the chase kind of really get right on the inside of him there, and that's because it looked like he slowed down, and a couple of different things throughout the course really made it really awkward from the lead driver there. But we do have a big course cleanup right now because of that off. A lot of grass and debris on the track, so we've got our, 8 course workers out there sweeping the track at the moment.
All right, so let's give you a quick update on where we are. We've now filled the final 4. Oh, the guy in the red flag getting a little excited there, but we still have some course cleaning going on. Andrew Gray qualified 9th. Shinji Minowa qualified 5th. If he makes it into the final 4, he would be, and gets knocked out there, he would be your 3rd place finisher, because Yamashita qualified 7th and Matsukawa qualified 9th. But we do have this one more time left to go.
Yes, we do.
I made a little claim there, but that I jumped ahead.
You don't have
the gun on that. You don't have to say anything about that.
All right. Well, you just did.
So it looks like the course is clear. And here's the one more time.
No pressure, Shinji.
Shinji. Fujinaka, here we go. Standard initiation from Shinji. Big, but late, Fujinaka got stuck in there a little bit. Yeah, we'll go back and revisit that, where he initiated from that last standing cone. Fujinaka trying to close the door. Had to cut the line on outside zone number 2. Now Shinji, good angle through that final inside clip, and Fujinaka really falling far behind. Let's see what you called out here, Ryan, in terms of the initiation from Shinji.
Just looking at him getting sidewards. That looked late to me. We'll have to watch. I don't know if we have the drone view on that one, but looking at where Shinji is there, just a tire barely over that line, over the rumble strip onto outside zone 1. Good job there at outside zone number 2. Goes nice and deep into outside zone 3, and this is where Fujinaka falls off. Not really staying in proximity through the finish line, way off inside clip 1.
Is the white line parallel with the last standing cone on the course? So, okay. That's close. It's close.
Sometime, whenever you can do it, Robbie. Make an executive decision.
Can you help me?
Can you help me out? Okay, here we go.
So this is Ryan wanting to keep the broadcast going as long as possible to check the initiation.
Man, that is, whew. That could be debated, but we'll say it's at the line, I guess. That was, we'll see what happens here in the second run, but that looked very last second. That's not even last minute. But thank you for indulging me, everybody. Appreciate that. Get to watch a little bit of overhead view here.
All right, so here we go. We're turning to the second half of the battle as the judges ingesting the overhead there, looking at the initiation of Shinji Minowa. He will not play a factor in this championship if he does not win here. If he wins here, he will take on Andrew Gray in the final 4. Fujinaka is in his way. Here we go. Fujinaka has got to give it everything he's got, and Minowa as well. Both drivers after initiation back on throttle. Way on the inside is Fujinaka, so not mirroring the lead run of Minowa. Minowa taking that deeper line, again losing a little bit of angle coming through that center section after he drops tires at outside zone 2. Snapping it back around is Fujinaka, but Minowa is able to keep good relative proximity through that final section of the course.
Run up to initiation. Shinji's keeping pace with Fujinaka pretty well. You see that initiation, nice snap to angle. Shinji's right behind him. maybe about a couple of car lengths behind. You can see, as you were pointing out, Ryan, Fujinaka misses outside zone 1 altogether. Not really out on the touch and go either, but does get to the outside zone 2 area. Shinji there has a little correction on angle through that section, but does a great job of maintaining proximity and fighting through there. Did a much better job, I think, than Fujinaka did in the chase position.
Well, we've already seen one more time here, and Shinji has seen quite a few. He had a one more time against Fujino, one against Fujinaka, but we've got the results in.
He's getting a lot of seat time this weekend.
And that'll do it right there. Shinji Minowa will now at least play a role in the championship. He moves on unanimously against Manabu Fujinaka. We have the final 4 set. Andrew Gray, Shinji Minowa, Koichi Yamashita, and Matsukawa. We'll take a quick commercial break, come back here, finish up the event at the 5th and final round of the G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship. And it is down to 2 drivers for the championship. It's either going to be Andrew Gray or Koichi Yamashita. Yamashita has to win the event. There is no other option for him. Shinji Minowa can play a role there if he eliminates Andrew Gray. If he eliminates Andrew Gray, Yamashita would still have to beat Matsukawa to have a chance. So let's see, if he eliminates Andrew Gray, so that he stays there, he goes to the finals, right? So that's 2. We'll get this sorted out for you. Let's say, but let's say Yamashita loses to Matsukawa. Yeah. Ooh, that'd be crazy. Yamashita would lose by 4 points.
It's tight.
Yeah. He's got to win the event.
Okay.
If it's Gray and Yamashita in the finals, it's winner take all. Gray gets knocked out here. Yamashita still has work to do. Yeah, if Yamashita beats Matsukawa and Gray gets knocked out here, he can lose in the finals and still win by 12 points.
Okay.
So,
wow,
it's a must win for Gray and Yamashita in this situation for a championship either way.
Okay. Well, this is a big battle right now. We've got Andrew Gray and Shinji Minowa going up against each other.
Now, you have to wonder about the fatigue of Minowa. Generally speaking, a lot of one more times for him, back and forth battle.
A lot of driving, a lot of seat time today.
Also a lot of seat time, so maybe that could play into his favor. I don't know how his car is relative to Gray's competitively right now. Gray has pretty much come out of this competition unfazed, but as you see them leaving the track, they're heading over to the burnout box, Ryan. It's going to be hard to predict exactly how this battle is going to go. My sense is that Gray is going to come out very, very strong as he usually does.
He has a lot of equipment. That car, the engine, everything that he has at his disposal. Andrew Gray does not compete unless he's got the best equipment in the series, and he very, very fast car, great power plant there that's been, I think, pretty reliable for him throughout the seasons, and I just don't know if Shinji has the power to keep up with him, even just on the straightaway running up to initiation. Just watching practice, you watch all the cars from this vantage point coming across to initiation, and then you see Andy Gray go. Its speed is just so much greater. But that causes him to be going very quickly from outside zone 1 to the touch and go, where he's had to be slowing down to get himself set up for the outside zone 2 area. And that is causing a problem for him, as it did in qualifying, as he ended up all the way down to 9th place. So he has to be able to go fast, but manage that speed. And, as much as we tell all the drivers there's no speed here, we don't care how fast you're going, as long as you're getting through and fulfilling your lead driver responsibilities. Everybody wants to go fast. It's just a natural human trait, I think. We just want to all outpace each other. So that is always there. We've seen in the chase position Shinji make a few mistakes. Now, were they forced mistakes due to the lead driver actually slowing at that touch and go, as we saw with Fujinaka? Or was it just a mistake that he was making going from outside zone 2 to 3 on his own? So that's something we're going to have to see him deal with here, and it's something that he can't afford to do against Andy Gray, because Andy Gray typically doesn't make any other mistakes on his runs. He's very consistent, and he's somebody who's been competing a long time, so he has that comfort level. He has that peace of mind, that ease of mind when he's in the lead position, that he knows to just run his run and not try to get away and overdo it, you know. But he just has to focus on that slowdown at the touch and go.
Well, here we go. Yamashita's got to be looking on very intently. Nice initiation there from Minowa, but right in the pocket immediately is Andrew Gray. Little bit of a reduction in angle. Lets Minowa get out for a second. Now surging forward again. Minowa a little bit shallow on that outside zone. Pulls away there over the crossover, but Gray comes back at it again. Puts the pedal down and gets immediate grip. Even with a couple slight adjustments, the proximity was pretty impressive there, Ryan.
That was very nicely done from Andrew Gray. From initiation to outside zone 1, it looked like inches away from Shinji Minowa's door. And look at this right here. Gets the car to angle right in there, really, really close. Shinji gets a nice line on outside zone 1. Couldn't be any more perfect there on that line. It was awesome. Does a great job at the touch and go. A little bit off of zone 2, but great on zone 3. Andrew Gray is right there with him, mimicking him all the way around. Great transition from Gray there coming inside clip 1, anticipating where Shinji's going to be. So that was a really great run from both drivers, and it's going to be really hard for either one of them to outdo the other as they switch positions now. So looking there, look how close Andrew Gray gets. The car's settled. He's right in the pocket in a perfect spot. Just drops off slightly there, but does have the jam to catch back up. So that's one area that, it was a little more difficult to see that from the ground level here, but from the sky, it's something that you just can't hide. So he did have that drop off, but you could see he got back on throttle there and the tires just started to smoke that much more. And he was able to catch back up to Shinji.
Number 9 qualifier, Andrew Gray. Bleeding the NOS there is Shinji Minowa, came in at the 5th place qualification. Yamashita 7 and Matsukawa 3rd. So Matsukawa has guaranteed himself at least 3rd place with that qualification. Who's going to be on the podium next to him? Is it going to be Gray or Minowa?
Shinji got that quick jump, and something happened.
If that's on Gray, that would be his 2nd. Yeah. So it is going to be on Gray.
Pylon touchy.
2 pylon touchies for Andrew Gray.
Yeah, knocked it right out of its base, kind of out of its square that we have painted on the ground. So he hit it enough that it went out of its position. So that's enough for a restart.
A slight indication that Gray is a little
phased right now, maybe?
A little tense, but it hasn't affected him. He's made it this far, and as a true champion, it's these kind of situations that you buckle down on.
Yep, this will make or break you right here. All right, so that's 1 strike, Ryan. 1 strike.
And I can pretty much guarantee you it's not going to happen again. Here we go. Andrew Gray in the lead this time. Minowa has got to keep pace with them. We know Gray is going to have a pretty smooth and consistent initiation. Minowa driving in the smoke line. Already separation here. Gray, big angle in that outside zone. Over to the touch and go. Here comes Minowa now. Gray a little bit off that 2nd outside zone. Minowa with a reduction in angle, but this time he is keeping the pace through that 3rd and final section, tugging up on the inside. And had Minowa done that at the beginning of the track, it would have been much more convincing. But will it be enough to force a 1 more time potentially? How are the judges thinking about this run, Ryan?
Well, the big issue for me is looking at the angle that Shinji Minowa carried through from initiation to outside zone 1. Right there, he had a huge reduction in angle right there. And pretty much went straight. So that's going to be, I think, signing his ticket out of here, unfortunately, in the top 4.
Well, if Andrew Gray gets the win here, he will move into at least 2nd place, which would once again put him 20 points ahead of Yamashita. If Minowa falls out here, he will finish the season with 307 points. And it is going to be Andrew Gray. So Shinji Minowa is going to be leaving the 2019 season in 3rd place. 307 points, 58 points back from the leader, and a celebration beginning to ensue there for Andrew Gray. So it is not over just yet. But it could be after this next battle. A little bit of pandemonium in the hot pitch there. Andrew Gray, you can see getting tucked back in to his pit, awaiting the next battle, who the winner is going to be. If it's Matsukawa, he wins the championship. If it's Yamashita, he's got to win the championship. That would be the championship coming down to the last battle of competition. An extremely exciting thing for all of us. But Yamashita's got to get through this driver. He's looked really strong all weekend. He's had an incredible performance in qualifying, coming in third place, which is going to solidify him at least that third place because of his qualifying position. Yamashita, on the other hand, pretty consistent throughout the weekend, qualifying 7th, battling through Yanaguita and also through Hayashi and also Takatoshi Ima Maeda to find himself here.
Shout out to the AE85 Corolla, Ryan. It's 2019, and that thing just made it to the top 4 of Formula Drift Japan. That is very impressive.
All right. Here we go. Yamashita loses, Gray wins. Yamashita wins, we push to the next battle. Here we go. Matsukawa. Again, big snap there. This time he pulls it off a little bit. He's got a gap on Yamashita, needs to close the door, but he goes over that first outside zone there. A little bit less angle coming through the touch and go was Matsukawa for a second. Now Yamashita is closing the door, keeping the pace here. Was able to make an adjustment and come back strong on the second half of the run.
How fast is that little thing, Ryan? That is impressive.
Really fast.
Yamashita's car is not slow. that little Corolla is blasting down the straightaway. Got that thing to angle very quickly and got right back on throttle. Look at that initiation. That was a huge snap. A little bit of a bobble there, but overall pretty nicely done. Goes over there quite a bit in outside zone 1, so that's going to be a detriment to him right there. Good job on the outside zone 2 area. Pretty deep in outside zone 3. Yamashita staying with him now, doing a better job of maintaining that proximity, and then falls off slightly from inside clip 1 to the finish line. But that was pretty impressive.
So looking at this a little bit more analytically, could you say, okay, Yamashita kind of fell back in outside zone 1, but Matsukawa pushed deep, went too far there. Not that that eliminates it, right? And then coming through the center section, both guys kind of get back on it. Yamashita has some good proximity, but Matsukawa has a nice line out front. Maybe it's kind of even-y. You know, what are we thinking here?
Well, what I'm thinking is I'm going to have to see the next run,
okay,
Ryan. Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to have to look at apples and apples and oranges, because right now you're trying to compare a lead to a chase. But I know, you know. But I really want to see how Yamashita is going to lay down his lead run now. Is he going to overstep outside zone 1, or is he going to stay on that rumble strip? Is he going to run that smooth line from the touch and go to outside zone 2 through to 3, as Matsukawa did in his lead? And what kind of proximity can Matsukawa gain and maintain throughout this run? Breathe deep, Ryan.
Here we go. Koichi Yamashita in the lead position. Last chance to make an impression on the judges. Can he make it to the finals, or will Matsukawa hold him off? Andrew Gray waiting in the wings. Oh, we have contact, and Matsukawa's going to fall off. This could be what Yamashita needed. It looks like it's going to be an incomplete for Matsukawa, at least at first pass. He's going to try to play catch-up and put a little bit more into the judges' eyes and minds. But Yamashita looks like he has got this one buttoned up. If it goes against Matsukawa for pushing too hard in the chase position.
That's a tricky spot, Ryan. If you want to get right in there, you have to do it like Andrew Gray did against Shinji Minoa. It looks like we've had a couple of drivers in the chase position get really aggressive in there and just kind of overdo it a little bit. So look at the way Yamashita gets the angle. He's back on throttle there just as Matsukawa makes contact, and then Matsukawa has to straighten up because he's lost his momentum and he's way offline at that point in time.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This has been a very fun and exciting round. I mean, besides the 4.5-hour qualifying, which actually went pretty fast and smooth,
Yep.
this has been one to watch. And as this result comes in here, it is going to tell us whether Andrew Gray is your champion or it pushes to the finals. 1 for Yamashita. 2 for Yamashita. He is going to the finals against Andrew Gray for the championship in the last battle of the year. Unbelievable.
And that puts Matsukawa in 3rd place here at the final round of the 2019 championship.
All right, so let me adjust the points here. Let me adjust the points. All right, so all that does is basically close the gap back on Andrew Gray, back down to -4 points. That's why it's going to be winner take all after this battle. We're going to get a CM, or are we going to hang out?
Well, for all the people listening, I hope there's a CM because they don't have to listen to us ramble for the next 5 minutes while we wait for tire changes. It's either they listen to us ramble or they listen to Frederick Osbo tell him that he loves RSR.
Let's get an Ichiban. Can we get an Ichiban?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. It's out of my control, Ryan. I can't communicate with anyone. You know that.
There it is, the magic CM. All right, so we were going to be taking a commercial break. They're going to be swapping their tires. When we come back, we will decide this 2019 G-Shock Presents Formula Drift Japan Championship. Andrew Gray is taking on Koichi Yamashita. Be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We are at the precipice here. It's the final battle of the 2019 season. The matchup is Andrew Gray, 3-time champion, going up against Koichi Yamashita, trying to secure his first ever Formula Drift Japan Championship. It's a winner-take-all situation, as Yamashita was 4 points away from Andrew Gray coming into this last battle. So it will turn the tide in either direction. Whoever wins will be your champion. If Gray wins, he will win the championship by 24 points. If Yamashita wins, he will win the championship by, 16 points. So this is a winner-take-all situation. Shinji Minowa has secured 3rd place in the championship with 307 points. Behind him is Wataru Masuyama. And behind him, Katsuhiro Ueo and Kanta Yanaguira. So the tension is beginning to mount here as both drivers are about to head to the burnout box. A change of tires, and we will be underway. Kazuya Matsukawa, after finishing qualifying in 3rd place and making it all the way to the Final Four, will be your 3rd place finisher. No matter what. Now the battle is for 1st and 2nd. And Ryan, it's been a pretty eventful weekend. Usually weather comes into play, but this has been pretty smooth sailing for everybody. Weather-wise, we've seen some pretty dramatic battles, quite a few one more times. Really rabid fans from Yamashita and from a lot of the other drivers, and a really great crowd here this weekend coming out to see not only everything for FD Japan, but also for Motor Games and J Nation, the car show, and saw some really great exotics. I think this is a great way to cap off the 2019 season.
Yeah, and I know that when you look on the live stream, when we show the grandstand areas, this place is so massive. There are so many grandstands that people are so spread out. There are a lot of people here this weekend, but it's just because there's so much room to sit. The way they're all spread around here, but it's been pretty great. We were over in the FMX area earlier where all the food was, and the lineups were massive. Very impressive.
I couldn't get lunch because of that, so I had to eat some crispy Oreos.
How were those?
And I ate your bag of jerky as well.
How'd you like that one?
That was my lunch.
Was it a good one?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. Pretty good. I liked the chunk a little bit more.
Thick cut, you know, just not enough in the bag, unfortunately. But
not enough. Yeah, very skimpy quantity.
High quality though. We're all about quality here, Ryan. Quality, not quantity.
But I think I think now we've got to find ourselves a good ramen shop afterwards. No dinner at the track tonight. We get to finally get back to civilization.
I'd like to celebrate with a big bowl of ramen. That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
Somebody's having an issue with their car. Hang on one second.
Uh-oh. So it looks like maybe a little bit of panic. What we just heard, or what I overheard from the radio, is that it sounds like Koichi Yamashita is having potential issues with his vehicle with regards to a fuel line.
That is correct, Ryan.
That would be a big bummer if we didn't get to see. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to bring that in.
That's an understatement, Ryan.
But that would be a big bummer.
It would be a big bummer. Yeah, it would be a heck of a way to finish the season on a bit of a downer. But, you know, just got to deal with things as they come here, I think.
There's the overhead of this beautiful track here. We are up in the mountains in Okayama Prefecture. And we see Andrew Gray starting to make his way. That will start the clock for Yamashita. You can see Kevin Wells there, the competition director, on the radio with the hat on. That is him talking to us up here.
Jack Roche Jr.
And once Andrew Gray starts to head to the burnout box, that would mean that Yamashita, who does have a competition timeout, would need to utilize it if that is indeed an issue that they are trying to resolve. So we will quickly probably hear that competition timeout will be being called if he's unable to leave the hot pits. Well, I think we're all getting a little bit nervous here because
there's Andrew Gray's mechanic sniffing around Yamashita's car. Maybe he's going to get in there and help him fix it. The coveralls, that's Andrew Gray's head mechanic, James.
And there's our guys out front. Come on. Come on, let's do it. We need to see this.
Is Yamashita getting in his car? He is getting in his car. That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Tense moments here for the Yamashita team that has been cheering him on very rabidly up here by the judges' tower. And there's just a few of the friends and family of the teams right below us in the tower.
That looked like the Formance team of Yukio Fausto, perhaps. I know he had a huge following here this weekend.
Yeah,
big group of people all wearing
so.
his T-shirts.
You can see off to the right-hand side there, that is the FMX area, and we're shooting down towards the hot pits, coming close to the Dunlop, the Dereza Bridge right there. Well, either way, this has got to be a tense moment for Yamashita, no question. But if he is even able to get it out there, you have to wonder what that does to his mentality, generally speaking. Having come off of, having done everything that he needed to do to get to this point in the championship, and it's in his hands. Win, become a champion. Lose, you lose on your own terms. Andrew Gray gets a fourth. But to not get that opportunity, that would be a shame. So can you ask real quick, just a quick update?
Will do. Robbie-san, is there anything from Kevin? Just looking for an update.
Because what I'm saying is James knows what's going on. So if we're stalling champ, they will be like, what the fuck? No, I understand. They're ready to fight. I don't know why they're stalling.
But are they calling a competition timeout?
You don't have to call it a competition timeout until Gray gets up to the line. Gray is stuck at the burnout box for now because they're not letting him in their stalling or not.
Who is?
Gray is sitting in front of the burnout box waiting to go in.
On his own, or we're stuck?
There's a steward there.
So yeah, we can't really.
I don't know if they think that he has to be ready before they send Gray to burnout box.
Well, Kevin can make the call.
Kevin's over here he's waiting.
But does Kevin know that he's in the burnout?
No, he's not in the burnout box. He's waiting.
No, but does Kevin know he's being held up? Okay, let me check my pulse real quick. All right, 63, so not bad. We're waiting to hear something more official here. What I presume is happening is that Andrew Gray has, what we're being told is that Andrew Gray has yet to enter the burnout box. Now, the question is as to why. It looks like one of our officials is standing in front of him. I don't know why that would be happening. He should let him get to the burnout box because that is when the competition timeout would be starting. So we want to make sure that this is run by the book here. As much as we want to see this final battle, we've got to make sure that all of the stewards know exactly what to do in this situation. And it may be the case that Kevin has started the competition timeout, but we have not got confirmation of that just yet. They can't dick around with this.
I know. This is doing it. This is driving. I'm gonna call it right now. You can't qualify unless there's a line.
Yeah, he's got to send him in the burnout box.
All right, what's Kevin going to say?
It's getting a little bit tense up here because we're getting a lot of back and forth from each of the two teams, plus also our crew and our staff. And Ryan and I are a little bit in the dark here. We're trying to get answers, but there's a lot of activity running around. I want to just confirm that we've started the competition timeout, but Andrew Gray has not gone to the burnout box yet.
So we're not going to send him to the burnout box because we know a competition timeout is going to start, and he's going to just have to go back and do another burnout anyway. So we're just running on the assumption that Andrew Gray is ready to go. He's ready to do his burnout. We just don't want him to have to do two because he'll be wearing his tires unnecessarily there. And the competition timeout has started.
I see. Okay.
And now Kevin has is going to reside over this CTO here, the competition timeout, until it has completed or they get it fixed and they can get the car out to the start line area.
Now, we heard that the issue was a fuel line
Yes.
or something along those lines. Okay, what's going on here?
Somebody's running. I saw James running, but that's Andrew Gray's mechanic, so I don't know if he's going to actually give them some help to get him to the line. They're talking to Tristan, who is his spotter right there, my fellow Canadian man. Yes, sir. Look at him right there, that big, proud man right there from Alberta. So they're going to communicate with him and see what's going on there. Those are the two spotters essentially communicating from the teams that are involved in this battle right now.
That was a very weird set of occurrences that happened there in trying to sort it out with everybody except us kind of talking up here, Ryan, to each other, going back and forth to ascertain what's happening. Yeah, so, okay, so, oh my gosh. We are now hearing that Yamashita, he is deep into the competition timeout now, but what we're hearing from a little bird on the ground is that it looks like he may not make it. He may not make it. They held back Andrew Gray from the burnout just so he didn't have to do it twice, and we would have had to do a tire change, and that would have been the issue there. So the competition timeout has been running. You can see the team really fretting here and concerned about whether or not they're going to get this chance to compete against Andrew Gray. This would be so anticlimactic of a way to finish the championship, knowing that he is so DAMN close.
It looks like they're saying right now that they might not be able to fix the car even if they have 5 minutes, but we're going to wait on this.
What's happening to us is basically, we've got our headphones on, and then we hear somebody say, what's happening is this, what's happening is this, what's happening is this, what's happening is this. And it makes it very confusing. But we've been trying to keep the communication with Kevin, who basically is in control of the competition side of things, letting us know what's happening. And what we know for sure is that the competition timeout has been running, and that Andrew Gray was held back from the burnout box because of the competition timeout, so that his tires didn't cool, and then he would have to do a second burnout, and then he would have asked for a tire change, and then we would have been starting all over again. Okay. So there's Gray at the line. The clock is running here. Do we have an idea of
the time left? So this Andrew Gray being at the start line right now is symbolic. We just wanted him to get to the start line so that we know that he's ready to drive. He hasn't actually done a burnout yet, but that is because we're trying to not force him to do 2 burnouts, because if he does a burnout now for no reason, he's going to have to do a second burnout, which means that he's going to wear his tires more than he should have to. So again, this is a symbolic kind of motion here, getting him to the start line to prove that he's ready to go. And that is the way that the start clock for the competition timeout starts. And now we're going to get a time update here on the 5-minute.
He's down to 3 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's getting very close to running out of time here, almost about halfway through the competition timeout. You can see the spotters up here really can't do anything, Ryan. They are just gripping their hands there and in a very tense moment. And Yamashita, same situation, really can't do anything. And I can't tell where his team is working on the vehicle. The hood's not up, so where the problem has been centrally located is tough for me to tell at this point.
Well, the fuel tank is in the rear, and it may be a fuel line going. You can see the tank behind him there.
Yeah.
So it may be going from that to the engine. So the fuel line issue doesn't necessarily have to be under the hood. It could be near the rear there, where there may be a coupler or something, and it could be leaking in the rear part of the system there. So right now, they don't look like they're working frantically on it, but maybe it's because there's something going on in the background where they're trying to, get a part ready to install or something like that. It's really hard to say exactly what is going on there. You don't see the frantic nature of the mechanics you generally see in the U.S. when they're running around trying to get it done, working together as a team. This one just seems a little bit more calm in the garage area there. And again, there are the spotter for Andy Gray was on the left. That's Tristan. And then these are the spotters here for Koichi Yamashita. So they're kind of close together, but avoiding each other a little bit, focusing on their own little part of the battle going on here to just get both cars to the start line.
Well, there's a tremendous amount of goodwill that these teams carry into these events with each other and helping each other out, but there's also a really strong competitive element that we all see manifest through these events, and both teams would like to win here. I know that they would not like to win in this way from the Andrew Gray side of things, but if it happens to go that way, they'll take it.
There's around a minute left, Ryan. It was about 1:30 left to go, about 30 seconds ago. So they've got to be close to a minute left now on the 5-minute.
Okay.
Yeah, this is pretty tense right now. It's crazy that it's come down to this one battle after 5 rounds of competition, 5 different tracks, all of the battles that we've gone through. It comes down to a matter of mere points, and it comes down to this battle right here to figure out who's going to win. And for this car to have this issue right now is unbelievable.
Koichi Yamashita is just 4 points out in his current position in second place. He could overtake that by beating Andrew Gray. Gray is waiting on the start line. We are under a minute. We're getting close down to the final seconds. Yeah. And unless Yamashita leaves the hot pit, Andrew Gray will be your champion by elimination.
3, 2, 1, and that's it.
And that is it. A very anticlimactic finish to this 2019 season finds Andrew Gray winning the 2019 championship by Koichi Yamashita not able to make it to the line. We don't know exactly what the problem was. We know that it was bad enough to not fix in a competition timeout and that it had something to do with the fuel line. But unfortunately for him, that means that Andrew Gray will be your winner. He will head back to the start line to do a bye, most likely. But congratulations to the team for making it all this way. It is not the way they wanted to win the championship, and you can see even behind the lenses there a sense of frustration from Koichi Yamashita as he is not able to try and take his own destiny by beating Andrew Gray in the finals.
We've seen some emotional responses to much less than this from Yamashita over the years of competition here in Formula Drift Japan, and I can't imagine what kind of emotions you must be feeling right now. You know, we've seen some real big smiles from him. We've seen some, I think, even some tears from Yamashita over the years in some situations where things were not going the way that he'd like them to go. Tears of frustration, of you know, probably anger and sadness, and I can't imagine that he's feeling anything less than those three emotions right now. You can see his team right there. She's clearly very emotional as well. This is really hard to see for them because they put so much into this program, as every team and driver does throughout the season, and for it to come down to this moment right here is crushing for them, I'm sure.
Well, we all know Andrew Gray personally, and that is not the way that he would want to win. Unfortunately, that is the way that the rules are written. And you could see the team there very devastated by what occurred here in a very anticlimactic way to win the championship. This will leave some unfinished business between these two competitors. There's no question about that. Andrew Gray will get the win here at the event. He will also win the championship, and it will make the finishing points 385 to 361. He will win by 24 points, but we will all know that there will be an exclamation point in this last matchup where Koichi Yamashita did not get a chance. As we see Andrew Gray taking his winning run here, his bye. This will be 2 wins this season for him, enough to secure the championship, but it will not be without some controversy to finish the 2019 season.
That was very smoky, Ryan. We got an update on what was wrong with Yamashita's car. It's an aluminum fuel line inside the car that broke, and nobody had a fitting to help him fix it. And you can see he's still in his car, helmet on, visor down, having a moment.
It was Yamashita that stood up in the drivers' meeting before the event and encouraged everybody. He came up unannounced and encouraged everybody to be as professional as they can during this weekend, knowing that there were going to be a lot of eyes on them. And he has held his head very high. He has been the utmost professional, not only competitively, but also as a team owner. And yet he finds himself in such a close situation to the championship. And you can tell that the look of disappointment there is going to be ringing through the halls tonight and for some time. For Andrew Gray's team, it will be a tough win to celebrate, no question about it. They did not get the opportunity to face Yamashita. Yamashita has beat him before, and there will be unresolved business going into 2020.
Kind of hard to watch, Ryan. It's too bad it came down to this. Can't always plan how these things are going to finish. Like you said, it's not exactly how they want to win, but I'm sure this is just going to set a fire underneath Yamashita for next season. and they're going to come back fighting harder than ever.
I can't imagine it's going to be easy for him to come out on the course for the announcement. I mean, we know who won, obviously, and we also know who won the championship. But Yamashita is just sitting in his car with his head down, visor down, and while we are all watching this highly emotional moment here for him and his team, and you can see his spotter there still sitting down on the ground, hands and head in the knees. Wow.
Everybody comes into competition hoping for glory. You know, everybody wants to do well, everybody wants to succeed, everybody wants to win. And we always focus on the winners, but in a situation like this where something is so frustrating and difficult to deal with, it's, you know, the amount of stress, the amount of frustration, and just difficult situations that these teams have to go through sometimes is extremely taxing. And it's the true champions that just keep coming back and fighting and hoping that they can get on top of that podium at every round, and hopefully at the end of the season be near or at the top. And yeah, like you said, it's going to be really hard to get Yamashita out to the winner's announcement right now. He's clearly not going to have his car with him to bring over here, as it won't start, won't run, but we'll have to try to get him over here, hopefully, and I'm sure it's going to be another emotional moment for everybody as he has a little talk with everyone on the microphone, if he can manage to do it.
Well, it looks like he has unstrapped, is stepping out of the vehicle. Not sure exactly where he's headed off to. Typically at this point in the competition, we would bring all three drivers down for the announcement, but there's a lot of atypical things happening right now. It is hard to know how much control we're actually going to be able to exert over the drivers that are supposed to come down for the final announcement, not only for the winner of the event, but also for the championship. An unbelievable set of circumstances here. We were pacing so well through the competition, only to get to the final matchup. If you're just joining us, it's 4:52 p.m. here Japan time, and the event is pretty much over, but the soap opera that we've been watching has not given us the final conclusion that we would have liked to have seen, and it's going to leave a lot of unanswered questions, as Yamashita was waiting to see if his vehicle would be fixed after a fuel line problem. He sat in his car motionless with his visor down for quite some time. He then exited the vehicle. This is where we see him now. You can see that he is pretty emotional himself, and trying to get himself together to head down to the front of the track where the judging stand is, along with the main podium, the main set of bleachers where a majority of the fans have been congregated through the weekend for the winner's announcement. And it is pretty solemn up here, Ryan. We've got Arito, Taniguchi, Imamura, Robbie Nishida, and the rest of the track and live stream staff pretty much quiet and motionless up here, with only us really talking pretty much by necessity to kind of let you guys know what's going on. But we've now, looks like we are starting to get a little bit more proactive with the teams and trying to congregate them down here on the track so we could bid thee well and bid thee goodbye. But it is definitely not the way that we want to see this event and the championship end. And it will be, I think if there's a silver lining here, Ryan, it is what this means for 2020 and what this means for the rivalry that has been developing between those two drivers. It gives us many more questions to be answered than things that have been set in stone for the 2019 season.
Yeah, looking up here, as you said, everybody's pretty quiet. Their heads are all kind of hung pretty low. And these are drivers themselves, you know, they've all competed in very high levels of drifting competition throughout the world, but mainly here in Japan. And I'm sure they've felt the highs and lows themselves. although this situation is a pretty unique one. I don't know how many people can say that they've made it to this point in a championship and be this close to winning the championship and go out because of such a small mechanical issue.
What can I expect for the next 5 minutes?
And they are bringing Yamashita's car up here right now. You can see it's leaving the pit area. So although it's running right now, I'm sure that doesn't mean that it would have run properly in competition. It's probably just enough fuel pressure there to get it kind of down the pit area and bring it to in front of the judges stand here so that we can do the winner announcement.
Yep, the wounded vehicle is now on its way. Did we see if Yamashita was the pilot, or was it somebody else?
I did not see who jumped behind the wheel, to be honest with you, but it's we're kind of just going with the flow here right now, Ryan. We got the other two cars coming. We can see the Corolla coming. We can see Andrew Gray's car coming as well.
Well, first of all, thank you to everybody, wherever you are watching around the world, sticking through this broadcast. It's been an exciting one, and we will finish it off in a very much anticlimactic way. But your winner and champion is Andrew Gray. Koichi Yamashita is second place and second place in the championship. And just out of sight here is our third place finisher, Kazuya Matsukawa, who qualified third and will finish third after defeating Tamagawa in the Great 8 to make it into the Final Four. Yamashita was able to defeat Matsukawa to get into the finals with Andrew Gray, but was not able to compete against him because of a mechanical problem with the fuel line that was unable to be resolved in 5 minutes. There was a lot of pandemonium and a lot of craziness going back and forth, but it has come to a conclusion, just not the one that we were looking for.
And it does look like it's Yamashita behind the wheel of his JZX down there. And this level of emotional reaction to something like this just goes to show how invested these drivers are, how invested these teams are in everything that they're doing. You know, it's a huge part of their lives.
And you see the embrace there from Andrew Gray with his young son and Koichi Yamashita. And you can still tell that Yamashita is deeply upset and emotional about this situation. Kazuya Matsukawa there on the left-hand side, your third place finisher. He was completely detached from all of this and gave it a great run. A strong performance by him. He is your third place finisher here at Okayama. No, that's not Andrew Gray. There you go. So no major build up there, Ryan, to find out who the winner was. We knew all along and have for the past few minutes. I got to tell you, I've known Andrew Gray for a long time. I know you have as well. That is not the look of excitement and overcoming a challenge.
No.
He seems a little bit defeated there. And that gentleman, obviously, very, very emotional.
Yeah, you can tell that Andrew Gray's feeling a little bit of that pain that Yamashita and his team are feeling. You know, it's very relatable, because that could have easily have been him in that position, knowing that he was that close to victory and knowing that he wasn't able to even make an attempt at it. So it's a difficult one to deal with.
So obviously a little bit of verification there from Andrew Gray about his disappointment in the way that this all turned out. Let's now turn the microphone over to, I believe, Robbie Nishida is doing some translation.
Yes. And that's a little Finley right there. He'd be proud if he knew what was going on. one of the friendliest little guys, very outgoing. Every time you see him, I don't see him often, but he always comes up, ready for a fist bump. Just walks up with his fist out, ready to bump. They've trained him well. Smart little guy.
So after the Japanese translation there from Robbie Nishida, we will bring in Robbie to give us an English translation for Koichi Yamashita, who will have some words right now.
すいません、本当決勝戦でアンディといい走りをこんなにお客さんの前で見せれなかったことは非常に残念です。
I'm very, very terribly sorry that I
でもこ
wasn't
こま
able
で
to
来れたの
run
は
at the finals in front of all you guys
ファンの皆さんや
and have a good battle against
チームのみん
Andy.
な、チームの関係者、
But I do have to say, all the team members, everybody
のお
who's
かげだと
here,
思ってます
sponsors, and the people that are sponsoring us and supporting
本
us,
当に残念なの
it's all
は、いい
because
もの
of
を見
you
せられ
guys
なか
that
った
we're
っていうの
here.
は
I'm just really, really
残念で
ashamed
す、
of
本当に。
myself and very,
すい
very
ません、
sad
本当に。
and very, very sorry that I wasn't able to perform till the end.
すいません。
Really sorry.
アンディ、ごめん。おめでとう。
Congratulations, Andy.
来年、またいい走りができるよ、本当。皆さんの前でもっともっと頑張ります。
I will try harder and harder for next year to be able to
本当、
show
あり
good
がとうご
battles
ざい
in
ました、
front
皆
of
さん。
everybody.
すいません。
Thank you very, very much to everybody.
That was definitely pretty tough to hear and to listen to, but now let's go to
はい、あり
Matsukawa.
がとうございます。僕たちのチームにとってはここが
Thank you very much. And for our team, this is the closest to our home. This is like our main supporters' home area, Hiroshima Toyota. And they brought a lot of our supporters with us in a bus. And they had a tour to come, and we were able to show everybody that we were able to come and land third
毎
place.
戦のようにね、こうやって上に上がってこれるように、頑張りたいと思います。
I will
ありがと
try
うござ
my
います
hardest to be able to come and be on the podium every round next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Robbie. Great translation there, helping us out. Otherwise, we'd have no idea what's going on. And Yamashita down there just makes you want to go down and give him a big hug, doesn't it?
Yeah, I definitely was a little bit, more than a little bit moved by what he had to say, and obviously feel for him tremendously. And you can see, you know, even a mature man that has become an incredible competitor has not a lot of fear in showing that emotion. And it's not the emotion that you'd like to see, but it's the way that it all turned out. And so for you, Ryan, we are beginning the final few minutes of wrapping things up here. It was an incredible event, and it just didn't have the ending that we wanted, and it came down to the last run. I mean, this is Irwindale-esque last year, except for the exact opposite. We saw 2 or more times between Osmo and Von Gittin Jr., and a great, great show. We were a little bit cheated here today, and it came about in the worst time.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to say that there's a positive outcome to it, but just seeing the human side of this series, the human side of the people behind it, we just sometimes see the cars out on the track and you forget that there's so much effort, there's so much hard work, time, and everything that goes into this behind the scenes, that it's almost like this is a little reminder of what is involved in all of this and how much these teams have invested, not just financially, but in every aspect of themselves. So if I'm going to put a silver lining on it, it's that we are all seeing that side of this that sometimes we forget, you know, because all we see is the cheering and the jumping around and the crashes and, you know, the stuff that you want to enjoy and you want to celebrate. But this is a very humbling moment for me anyway, watching this. It's almost hard to watch, but it's also I don't know, it kind of restores your faith in just what we're doing here, you know.
A wise man once said that the true measure of a person is how they overcome adversity, and this is the pinnacle of adversity that is being faced by Koichi Yamashita and his team. And you can see, even with the tears there, a little bit of smiling coming out, knowing that it's over for the moment, but they've got another season in front of them, and they have the capacity, they have the ability to win championships, and they are very much in a position to do so. Today was not their day, and it was not the way that they wanted it to go down, but they got all the way to that point, and they should be able to hold their heads high, irrespective of what ticked off here today. We're hearing just some final words from Yoichi Imamura, who lent a vehicle to Fujino, and he is up here along with Taniguchi and Orito. And that looks like that'll be all for us. We're wrapping things up here for everybody at Formula Drift Japan. And Ryan Lontaine, I am Ryan Sage, and this is the close of the 5th and final round of the 2019 Formula Drift Japan Championship. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in just 2 weeks as we head to the final event of the Formula Drift USA event and series at Irwindale Speedway. See you soon.
Thanks, everybody. See you next year.
実証雨に強いタイヤ。横浜は濡れた路面であなたの想像以上に止まる。止まる。止まる。日本最高グレードのウェット性能 A をあなたの車に。雨に強いタイヤといえば横浜。革新のカーボンベゼル。Bluetooth 搭載 G-SHOCK カシオ。The brightness, call brilliant. Valendy.
Quality of Japanese craftsmanship. Brilliant.
What's up, guys? It's Frederick Ospo, and I use RSR suspension on all my drift cars. I love RSR. Iyo RSR Ichiban.
究極の静かさと安全性。オンロード、オフロード、世界中で活躍するケンダ。その信頼を支える静音性、安定性と耐摩耗性。世界が認めた技術と信頼を街乗りである。高品質と納得の価格、タイヤのポテンシャルをあなたに。ケンダ。伝統と革新、小倉クラッチのテクノロジーを凝縮。チャンピオンを取るためのクラッチ。小倉レーシングクラッチ ORC。モティ
of brightness, called brilliant, blinding and vivid. Valenti.